This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
I think we should do a supercut of all the intros we messed up, because we messed up about 4 or 5. But today we have a boatload of topics that we're excited to talk about for you on the Fast Break today. We're going to be talking about the Wizards' openness to trading Bradley Beal and John Wall, the future of Markelle Fultz with the 76ers, a lot of stuff coming out with his agent and lawyers and tests being done to his shoulders and seeing if he's able to shoot, so we'll talk about all that stuff. We'll be talking about our Wet Boys. We got some returnees. We also have a new face making his first ever Wet Boy appearance from this year and last year, and then we'll wrap it up with more NBA draft talk, the third head of the Duke three-headed trio, and we'll talk about Cam Reddish and if he's being overshadowed on that team. Obviously, they just lost to Gonzaga. Am I saying that right? And we got yelled at before.
I think it's Gonzaga. Or
Gonzaga?
No, I think it's
the Zags.
I think it's Gonzaga. Yeah, Gonzaga, I think.
The team from Seattle, Washington that is named the Bulldogs. Mark Few's Bulldogs.
I almost said Mark Fine.
But anyways, we'll be talking about all that. If you do like the Fast Break Podcast, you're a loyal listener or a first-time listener, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes or just any review. If you think we suck, if you think these sound like dudes doing this in their mom's basement, which I think was our first ever iTunes review, leave it on iTunes. Let us know what we can improve. Let us know what you like, what you dislike. We appreciate that feedback, and we like seeing people take the time and helping us out. We greatly appreciate that, and if you do have the time, please check that out. But boys, let's jump into the mess that was Washington on Monday. Story on ESPN came out from Woj, Wizards signaling a willingness to consider trade overtures on entire rosters, including All-Star guards John Wall and Bradley Beal, and then probably, I think, about 3 hours later, story filed at ESPN, the Wizards fined All-Star John Wall for unloading a verbal barrage on coach Scott Brooks in a recent practice after Wall and his teammates have been challenged to raise intensity in that season. Wall fired back with, "Fuck you," to Scott Brooks. Story soon. So a lot of drama happening out in Washington. Seems like it's settled a little bit. Not much has been coming out from Washington since then. But what do you think is going on in the state's capital? What do you think is the possibility of both Beal and Wall being traded this year?
I mean, with me personally, the kind of, I want to say the conundrum going on in my head was I'm kind of angry at myself because it was like, last year, 2 years ago, I'm like, Wizards aren't making the playoffs. These two are going to blow up. It ain't going to work. And then I was like, I'm wrong. This team's a playoff team. They were last year. And I'm sitting there going, I should have yet again this year said, nope, the Wizards are not going to make the playoffs. And this is what many of us, or I'm going to say maybe a good majority of us, knew was going to happen, that these two eventually were going to blow up and that the Wizards were going to have to blow everything up and just start from step zero.
Yeah, right now they're 6-2. 6-12, my bad. 6-12. They did respond after that story coming out and beat the now number 1 seed in the Los Angeles Clippers, 125-118. But then they followed that up with a loss on Friday against Toronto, 125-107. Dave, what do you think about the possibility of both these guys leaving, and what do you think has really led to this? Do you think it's just obviously the poor performance on the court, or do you think finally the two alphas got to each other?
I think it's a lot to do with performance on the court, kind of burning things up. Because, look, you can get along as long as you're winning, as long as things are going good. It's a whole lot easier to smooth those edges out. But, I mean, the struggles out the gate this year have not helped. And adding in, the locker room sweethearts like Austin Rivers and Dwight Howard, not really helping out. I think the biggest problem comes from, obviously, their coach and Scotty Brooks. Like, the man literally was walked out of town from OKC because, obviously, he did not make Kevin Durant and Westbrook work together. Like, just couldn't. He didn't have the talent to do it. I don't know why they thought he'd be a great fit. Like, he just failed to gain 2 young superstars to be friendly and get things done on the court. So let's bring him here for John Wall and Bradley Beal. Seems like a great idea. Like, that's just horrible decision-making up top. Mm-hmm. But, no, I think that it's not super likely that both are gone by the end of, their contracts. I think John Wall's contract is so disgustingly huge that there's only a handful of teams in the league who would go out and, pay for that and be happy. Well, I don't know if they'd be happy, but they'd go out and want him. Bradley Beal, any team wants. That's the thing. He's just the guy who's more movable. But if I'm the Wizards, I'm saying he's the guy I want to build around because he's a young shooter, excellent defender, and still 25, 26. Like he's exactly what you want to build around. So I don't know. It's a problem. The guy you want to keep is the guy everybody's going to actually pay you for. So what do they do?
Well, the thing is that if you were just looking at this year, Wall might be more valuable because you look at, he's only making 19.1 this year.
Yeah.
And you look at Bradley Beal, he's got 2 more years of, 25 and 27 and 28. But it's the thing that kills you is that upcoming contract extension for John Wall, where he's making 37 next year, he's making 40, 43, and then he's got a player option that I'd be shocked if he turns down of $46.8 million. Absolutely insane money to go to John Wall. And, I mean, that's not starting until next year. So I would be absolutely shocked if both are traded for that sole fact, just because they're open to trading John Wall. I think it's just more of a thing that everyone's on the table.
And that's fine, yeah.
Yeah, and
it sends a message out there, at least.
I think the likelihood of John Wall being traded is very slim to none, probably 20% or lower.
Yeah.
But Bradley Beal being out on the table, it's like you mentioned, he's young, only 25 years old, great shooter, great defender at that 2-guard position, top 10 player at his position without a doubt. I think we put him at 6th in our preseason ranking. That's probably only moving up as well. He's been fantastic. The likelihood of him being traded is probably 80% to 100% because the fact that, he's on the table, they're not going to be winning. And if they keep losing, there's no reason to keep him around because his value is never going to be higher because now not only are you getting him for this year, but that contract doesn't look bad at all. I mean, paying a guy that much for you paying a guy like that and having him locked up for 3 years is really good for your team because he's not going to get any worse. He's going to be in his prime when he gets out of that contract at 28 years old. And he's going to be a guy that just continues to grow and gets better. So looking at this, answering the question of will they trade both of them, I would say no, because I don't think you're moving John Wall this year in any way, shape, or form. Because what team would want to take on those next 5 years of, obviously this year, then the 4 that are upcoming on that contract extension? I don't see that being plausible.
I mean, really, to me, because I love these because I just work with the trade machine and such.
Yeah, people love when you do that.
I've got 2 with John Wall. And this is, I'm going to say for someone who's just coming in and never listened to a fast break, you guys put the picks wherever you want. I'm going to tell you how the salaries work and what players can go where. I got 2 of them. One's a 2-team trade.
I know how the salaries work. You're using a ESPN computer machine that anyone can use.
It matches out, kind of. It's in the ballpark.
Yeah, but you don't know. You're just making if it comes up green, you're like, it works.
Exactly.
That's all you're doing.
But there's always contract
Ricky is
troubles.
not like a genius when it comes to cap salaries.
It could be good or bad. But here's the first one. The first one has to do with just the Wizards and the Spurs. The Wizards would get Patty Mills, Pau Gasol, and the Spurs get John Wall and Austin Rivers. Whereas the second one's a 3-team deal. It's the Wizards, the Pacers, the Cavs. Wizards get Thaddeus Young and Darren Collison, 2 contracts that are done at the end of the year. The Pacers get John Wall and Kyle Korver, and then the Cavaliers will get Corey Joseph and Kelly Oubre.
So Washington's clearing cap room, basically.
Washington is clearing cap to basically they're taking on the big contracts from the Pacers,
but they're
done at the end of the year, and the Cavaliers are. This is where the picks would have to come in because the Cavaliers need to be added to this to get it to work. Because if the Pacers, and I'm trying to look at teams that could need John Wall, the Pacers could need him because you could pair John Wall with Vic, and also the Spurs could need him because you can pair John Wall with LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
So that's why those are 2 of the first teams, but it's really what team could use a point guard. And then the second part, who would want to go and trade for him?
It's not even which team needs a point guard because it's which team has the ability to take on that much capital. Because you're going to be paying a 32-year-old point guard who relies a lot on his athletic ability and has not been the healthiest guy in the world throughout his career, and going to be paying him $47 million in his 32-year-old season. That's just not. It's ridiculous and unfathomable to think about because that's going to be the highest that we can think of right now. I think that's the highest on the table for any player. As
far as I know, yes.
I don't think there's any higher. Maybe who's just signed to maybe Russ has a higher one.
I'll
with his
Russ.
Supermax, but it's tough to figure out anyone who's going to be making that much money, and I don't think anyone could really plan for that in the future. And again, like John Wall, it's going to be easy to take on his contract now, but when you get to that 32-year-old season, it's going to be tough to add any players because you're paying one guy $47 million. So that's why I think it's so tough to trade a guy like John Wall. And it really makes it
trade for a guy like John
trade
Wall.
for a guy like John Wall. It would even trade him in general if you're the Washington Wizards because you're talking about trading an all-star and just getting rid of salary. You're not even getting any assets. You're you're getting Thad Young. You're getting
picks.
Garbage contracts.
Because you're giving up Kelly Oubre basically, and the Cavs are walking away with Kyle Korver for Kelly Oubre. Like, of course I would take that deal.
Even then, like if you're the Wizards, like you might even need to give up picks because Dave. If you're
that contract's bad, but I would not give up a pick.
No, I'm not saying, but like
to move
a second rounder. I'm not saying like a first rounder, but I'm just saying like you might even need to sweeten the deal. That's how bad that contract can get. Because yes, he is a top 10 point guard in the league. I think we had him around 6 or 7. But he's not that next level guy. Like game changer, like a Steph Curry is, like a Russ or a James Harden is. Like he's not on that upper tier. He is in the class
right behind them. He is in the Kyrie Irving, John Wall class. Like it's literally those two guys at the next tier. And I totally think that he is. I mean, we talk about like old playoff series where he literally gives it everything he's got until that last game where he literally was just chucking for the sake of I've got to win this game out of pure willpower right now. And he didn't do it, but like. He was just drained from playing every minute possible.
But also even like Dame's in that tier as well. I know some people will get upset if we don't throw him up there.
No, that's fine. I just don't think that you like if those are the deals on the table for them. If you're not walking away with like if I'm moving John Wall, I'm expecting either a young prospect from the last 2 draft classes or a draft pick back.
Does it have to be a high pick, or is it just a pick? And like with a prospect, does it have to be a high pick as well, or just a guy you like?
I think a guy you like. I mean, shit. I've been reading through like 18 Reddit threads about people who, what about this deal for him? What about this deal? And like the whole joke about moving Sabonis in a package off the Pacers, working off what Ricky said, and like Sabonis is playing fantastic right now. A lot of teams like him. Is he anywhere near the talent level of John Wall? No. So you're going to do Sabonis plus something for John Wall. Like, that's... Obviously, you need to make the contracts work, so maybe it's Thad Young, but you're still throwing a pick in there.
Even then, I would feel like if I'm the Pacers, like, you're giving up Sabonis for a guy that's going to handcuff your team when it comes down to the later years of his career.
But you already have Victor Oladipo under contract.
But does John Wall and Victor Oladipo make you a team that's even, going to the NBA Finals, let alone competing against the Western Conference?
I think you compete in the East. I don't know if...
For like maybe a year or two. But when you start getting up into that $40 million a year, it's severely taking away your cap room. And I think it's probably going to end up being like 1/3 or 1/4 of your cap going to one player.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole thing is we don't know what TV deals will do to the salary cap in the NBA. Like... This could all be made like ridiculous if in the next by 4 years down the line we're talking new deal and we're talking players are average players are going to get $20 million a year. We're going to make those contracts for like Jan Mahimi look like that's the new normal is like 18, 19 million a year. Right now it's at like 12 million a year. That 10 to 12 range is like that's an average NBA player. Like I don't think that we're going to hit 50 million. Superstar, I think 50 million superstar is totally going to be normal. I 100% think that. So, I don't know.
But here's the thing is like, when you're looking at, like, even if it's the new normal for a superstar, like, we still overvalue some of these guys. I mean, we saw Bismack Biyombo get 4 years, $72 million off of potential alone. Like, even though there's money to throw out there. No, but, like, I mean, when there's money to throw out there, we just think we can throw it to anybody or, like, the best players on our team, and we're not actually valuing them as superstars.
Right.
Because these guys think they're all on the same level.
Of course.
So, like, a Dame Lillard will ask for max money, and a team like Portland wants to keep him around because he's going to drive up ticket sales, and he's going to make the same money as Steph Curry.
Right.
So, like, but clearly, if you had an unlimited amount of bank, and you needed to persuade these guys, Steph Curry's going to end up making more money over Damian Lillard. And I just bring up the question of, like, what players are worth even $47 million for 1 year? It's probably KD. It's probably LeBron. Maybe AD. Maybe Steph. But, I mean, even with Steph's injury concerns, I don't know if I want to give him $47 million. John Wall's not even close to that, like, probably even, like, top 15 of players I want to give $47 million to.
No.
And you're going to be giving him $47 million when he's 32. And maybe the cap room expanding in 5 years when, that he's going to be making that much money, will help it and make it a little bit easier. But it's still $47 million.
Yeah,
and that could go to
portion.
That could make up, 3 role players right there that can, fill up your starting lineup and could be, 3 great guys that, could be a rim running center, be a great 3-and-D player like a Robert Covington, and be a stretch 4 that's very necessity.
That's a necessity.
Necessity to a team.
Yeah.
But I just think that making a deal for John Wall now is going to be tough, and especially going to be even tougher, when you get even closer into that contract extension.
The problem with him isn't so much, in my mind, it's twofold, because it's a contract and it's his attitude. Like, if you get a coach that can work with him, I think the attitude goes away. The problem is he hasn't had a coach he's got along with. So you just run into John Wall acting like, a diva out there from everybody covering the team. It's John Wall's attitude, it's cancer in the locker room. Like, people like Kelly Oubre and Austin Rivers even coming in town being like, yeah, I don't know how this locker room is like a thing right now, because it's just, if people had to put up with that shit for long term, like, Jesus. So I think that if you can solve the attitude problem with him, like, I'm fine with using John Wall as your guy on the team moving forward. Like, look, he's still talented, he's still putting up great numbers, he's still like an all-star in the East. So the thing you have to do is get the value out of Bradley Beal or get something out of Otto Porter's horrible, like, poison pill contract. I mean, like, Kelly Oubre is like the guy with the best deal right now because he's on his last year of his rookie. So, like, if there's a team out there, he's a sweetener for anything. So if you want John Wall and you're not going to get equal value back, maybe you toss in a piece like him because you're going to have to pay him a shit ton of money now. And for minutes that, he's likely splitting anyway right now in Washington. So, like, you've got pieces to move. Like, Washington as a team has pieces to move, but it's just, Jesus.
And that's why we come up to when Ricky throws out those trade deals. It's not really, like a big piece going back to Washington. It's just a salary cap to free up this salary. I mean,
I'll give you this one that I just worked out, and you can work at Bradley Beal or John Wall. But like Dave said, that coach that John Wall hasn't had to work with, my first thought was Eric Spoelstra. What if the Heat works something out where it's, I've got one here that technically works, picks would have to be included such. John Wall of the Heat, Goran Dragic, and Bam going to the Wizards. Otherwise, it's Bradley Beal, and then you got Dragic, Bam, and maybe a Winslow.
I think the
going
Wizards
to the
get screwed there. Like, I think the Heat get screwed there because again, you're helping the Wizards do exactly what they want. A lot of these deals that I'm seeing are just cap dumps so they get John Wall's contract off. I mean, he's not even into this contract extension, and he's not worth the money already. And he's not going to be worth that money when he gets older and gets more mileage on his legs. Like, even giving up Bam, I think, like, he's not going to be a guy that's ever going to be a top 10 center. He can be a really good starting center, but I don't see him being that high of an upside. But, I think Dragic and Bam might help you get other pieces that might last you longer or get pieces that, again, might turn into something. I mean, those guys were being floated out for, like, Jimmy Butler, and I'd rather have Jimmy Butler, who's going to be on a normal, max contract compared to this super max that John Wall is getting. So I think this contract's absolutely just, horrible. In comparing it to every other contract in the NBA and just comparing it to the fact that it hasn't started and it's already a bad contract, and they're already trying to get him off the books. It's a bad sign, and I don't think a deal's going to happen. But let's move to the one that I think is movable, because Bradley Beal is a guy that is extremely valuable on this contract.
I was going to throw to you. I want to ask you this question. You say Bradley Beal, the more movable one. What team do you think is right away picking up the phone and saying, we need to get Bradley Beal?
I think all 29 teams should be doing that.
But what's your one team?
I think, Charlotte's a team that comes to mind because
they're playing way too well.
They're playing way too well, and I think you need to help sustain that. And Kemba's being, he's shooting like Steph Curry right now. He's taking a ton of threes, making a ton of threes as well, leading the league in attempts from 3-point and 3-pointers made. Yeah. You look at that team. Providing more offense and providing that punch is just going to help them. And they do have pieces they can move, like Malik Monk, who's really still not being used too much. They have Miles Bridges, so having that future superstar that they can build is right there in the wings in Miles Bridges. So Monk is still a young piece that can be moved and might need a fresh change of scenario. And you can also give them money going back that's going to help the Hornets now and also help the Wizards, because you might be taking on more money now, but also you're going to be getting rid of money sooner. So I think the Hornets are one of them. I think that would probably be my number one team. But also I like the Jazz a lot. They need a spark on offense, and adding Bradley Beal is going to help their defense. And also, obviously go to, help them get like a number 1 or at least a number 2 scorer behind Donovan Mitchell. I like the Nuggets as always. Shockingly,
They've got
I like them.
a ton of young assets.
Philly is a team that's interesting as well, and then another team. And then Utah was the other team I worked out for. It was Ricky Rubio, Thabo Cephalosha, and Grayson Allen going over to Utah. As well, you look at Hornets, it would probably be like a Nick Batum or
he's just
Williams.
The ultimate contract.
Yeah, Nick Batum, Marvin Williams, a first-round pick, and then Malik Monk would be the deal for that. Because you're giving them a young player to go off of.
A young player, a mid to high first-round pick. So, yeah.
And then, with the 76ers, you'd have Oubre in that deal, Bradley Beal, and then like Wilson Chandler, Fultz, and Mike Muscala going over. Or maybe even not even Oubre, but to at least balance out those contracts.
Yeah, no, that's a toughie because the value of Fultz, and we'll get to this obviously later on, but like that's so in the air right now. Nobody knows. But no, I mean, you nailed the teams as far as that's concerned. Like, I think the Sixers, if they're really trying to strike gold and they want to get those 4 max contracts, like now's the time to do it. Could be fun. The Hornets one, I love it because if you can land someone like Bradley Beal on that team next to Kemba, that almost guarantees Kemba's re-signing there. Like Kemba wants to be there.
Then you don't have to worry about trading him.
Right. It's more of the fact that like your team's doing really well, lean into it, double down, and get him a second piece, a true second piece, because like right now, you're getting contributions across the board, but like that's not going to last season long. That's not going to last in the playoffs. So you need to make a move like that happen.
Well, and it solidifies the second guy. Like,
it does,
right now it's Kemba and then whoever's on that next night.
Yeah.
Where Bradley Beal
Tony
can
Parker
be a
is
consistent
making that
number 2.
bench fucking work, and that I undervalued that pickup. That's gold, absolute gold.
And I think one thing too with Kemba is right now he's 28. Yep. Bradley Beal's 25. Bridges is 20, I think, on the dot. I think he's 20.
You're right. He was a sophomore, but he was young.
He was a sophomore.
Yeah.
So he's either 20, 21.
Yep.
But really, if Kemba does resign for 5 years, that will put him at 33. It'll put Bradley Beal at 30. Then it'll put Miles Bridges at 30 or just 25. Yeah. And then even then, if Bradley Beal even signs again, that will put him at 33 and then 30 for Miles Bridges. So at least it will keep together.
You can potentially,
and it will keep long-term success. And that's really why I like that Hornets deal. Yeah. Giving up a guy like Malik Monk, who was 10th overall, 11th overall, when he was drafted, it might be a big thing, but
one before Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, you need to have the Wizards want to take on that deal outside of just freeing up cap space in like 2 years with a Batum or Williams contract. And even if you give up a first-round pick, it's not going to be that great of a pick because Hornets are making that move to make the playoffs and solidify a playoff appearance, and that's going to be outside the lottery.
Well, and the one that here's another thing with talking about trades this early is kind of like what you said before we were recording. I can't remember what we were talking about, but you and Dave were talking about something. You said we're 15 games into this. Like, we are so early still into the season. We're like, I look at a team like the Jazz. How are you a team that's 8-11 right now, and the only team below you in the West is the Phoenix Suns? But then I look at it and go, yeah, but 2.5 games, they're back in the playoffs. And it's like, we're that early to where
we're a quarter into the season, people.
Should we be freaking
no early?
Like, should we be freaking out that team? Because like, I look at the Jazz and they're another team I've been playing with the machine with, trying to be like, how could they make a deal for Bradley Beal? Because they're a team that we expected to be in the playoff hunt, and right now, quarter of the way through, they're out of it. They're the first to last worst team in the West, technically.
I mean, no one's out of it. Like, that's that's a thing in the West. Like, everybody's so close. Like, even Phoenix still has a chance. Come on. No, I just think that there are so many teams. You're right. There are 29 other teams in the NBA who want to have Bradley Beal on it. Like, without a doubt. My problem is I just keep going back to the value-wise for a 25-year-old all-star, like, is going to be
with 3 years.
With 3 years still under contract. So, like, it's incredibly high. I don't know that you're going to get equal value from anybody, but also you've got all these teams, like, kind of, setting themselves up for this free agency class.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, is, like, I look at a team like the Clippers with lots of pieces to move. They're currently in first place in the West today. Like, I don't know if they're going to pull the trigger on anything, but they've got enough pieces that they could, move over to Washington to make that deal work. I look at a team like the Pistons who, like, we've obviously been up and down on them because of their play, but, like, they would love to have an outside shooter or a true point guard. Either or. They take either or. Move Reggie and move pieces and future picks. Like, there's just too many teams.
Well, and the other thing, too, is, I mean, you even look at, you threw me off when you bring up the Pistons. The Lakers. Going into that free agency idea, putting a guy like Bradley Beal next to LeBron James is just going to improve that team.
It seems like a great answer.
And they have, young talent like LeBron or like Lonzo, like Brandon Ingram. But you don't want to handcuff yourself to a 3-year deal when you could possibly bring in a guy like Kevin Durant or Anthony Davis.
Kevin Durant and Anthony Davis next year.
You don't want to take away that ability to bring in those guys in free agency, and that's why I don't think the Lakers are even thinking about that, even though I think they probably should.
And I hate when I see the Lakers could trade any two of Ball, Ingram, and Kuzma. It's like, don't. Like, LeBron,
the Anthony
Magic,
Davis trades are hilarious.
They know that this is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. Like, they're not expecting to win the whole thing this year, so I don't expect them to even make a move. And then, like, a team that you didn't mention, like the Knicks, they're a team that could, hey, if we got a Bradley Beal, some would think, hey, that's something that you can maybe use to bring someone in. But they want Kevin Durant so bad, they're not going to shake things up that much by bringing in a John Wall, by bringing in a Bradley Beal. The one team I'm sitting there thinking, is this an overreaction or do they need to make a move on one of these guys? Probably Bradley Beal. Does Boston need to make a move? Or is it that we're sitting here, Boston, 6th in the East right now, and we're just overreacting that they're not one of the top 2 teams in the East?
Well, they literally can't shoot.
But also, I mean, they're playing stupidly great defense.
They are.
So I think this is a team that you ride it out with and you wait, 18 more games because Gordon Hayward's still coming off one of the worst injuries we've seen on an NBA floor in a while. An ugly thing, and it's going to take a while for him to bounce back. And also, he hasn't played with these guys too much. Jason Tatum isn't the same player that he was last year. He's still growing to a new role and adjusting to that. Kyrie Irving has been playing well, but again, he's adjusting to everybody on the floor. Terry Rozier isn't playing the same way he's normally willing to because again, his role is decreased. And I think that's going to be more on Brad Stevens to adjust the team that he has because this team's still talented, and we still think they're a top 4 team, a top 3 team for sure in the East. Obviously, the move for Butler is important. The way the Raptors and Bucks have been playing kind of stunt that. But still, talent-wise, Boston's probably the most talented team in the East, and I don't think trading Bradley Beal will really help it because their problem is I think they're not really working these guys in, and then changing it up again is just going to make it harder for this to really sink in. Now, would Bradley Beal help them in the long run? Of course, but I think it'd be
even in the short term, they've got too many bodies. They've got too many good, not great players. And because they do that, their rotations are also short. It doesn't get them enough play time to actually hit their groove. And when they're in their groove, guess what? They're getting subbed back out again. So it's like it is more valuable for them to have a Bradley Beal on the team than have a Jaylen Brown and another player all splitting the minutes. It would have gone to Beal. Like, that's my thing is you take away like a good asset in Brown, you take away another good asset, and then like a cap filler piece, and then you move that for Bradley Beal. And yes, you're taking guys out of that super deep rotation, but guess what? Nobody gives a shit about super deep rotations in the playoffs because everybody's playing 40 minutes. Like that argument never makes sense to me. That's why it's like we all fall in love with the Raptors every year for the last 3 years because look how deep they are as a team. And it's like nobody cares because in the playoffs, like every team plays their guys 40 minutes a night. Like it's like Minnesota everywhere, It doesn't make sense to me to overvalue this gluttony of young talent on the Celtics when you can go out and get someone who will soak up their minutes and play better than them anyway. Yeah. Why not? It's a value trade.
I think, though, again, what value are you giving up, and is it
Jason Tatum and Bradley Beal are already best friends, so like you want to put them together.
Is it necessary for them to give up that value?
Is it necessary? No, but do you think? I think in the long run, it would be the best move for them as a team because the way their contracts work out right now, like they've got to re-sign Kyrie this offseason. They're stuck with Gordon Hayward's awful contract. It looks awful because he's still hurt, or he's still recovering from that horrible injury. But like you're going to dish out some money coming up.
And just resign Marcus Smart.
Yeah,
they're going to have to worry about
deal.
Jaylen Brown. They're going to have to worry about Jason Tatum when their deals.
You got a couple years on that at least. So that's the thing. It's like you want to separate it out, and if you bring in Beal, like I think it's the perfect timing. I absolutely think now is the time to do it. Now's the time to strike because he sets you up to compete. Like he gets you back on track. Let me put it that way. This team, if they're worried about their early struggles, that's their problem solver.
Well, then if he does come over, and we don't need to throw out a trade exactly.
It's going to be centered around Brown in my mind, but yeah.
But if they do make that trade, and what do you think the starting lineup would look like? If it's centered around Jaylen Brown, what do you think the starting lineup would look like? It would be Kyrie Irving,
Bradley
Beal, Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, and then Al Horford?
I don't know. Horford just is... Or not Horford. Fucking... Hayward is just not looked like he's had it. Like,
but are you going to put him on the bench, and who are you going to sub in?
He's been playing off the bench.
Well, who are you? But who? I mean, like you're talking. I'm talking about like
Morris. Morris has been fantastic.
No, but I'm talking about like in an idealistic when he's healthy.
If he's healthy,
you're not putting Gordon Hayward on the bench when you're paying him that much money.
And if he's putting up 24 and 4
well.
again, sure, he's going to start for me.
He's not going to put up 24 and 4 because he doesn't have enough shots to put up 24 and 4.
I'm just saying.
But again, like when they're all healthy, is that what you're
that's
looking
exactly
at?
what it would be.
So if they're all healthy, do you think that's enough to take down the Warriors if the Warriors are also healthy as well?
I mean, I don't know what stops Steph Curry, but right now this is the most vulnerable. Yeah, this is the most vulnerable that Warriors team's looked in years. So I would say yes. That's probably the best lineup that I could see out there to beat the Warriors because you have an all-star in Kyrie Irving, you have an all-star in Bradley Beal, you have an all-star in Gordon Hayward, like you have and Horford years ago. You know, I just think
last year.
Literally, it feels like years ago. He feels like such an old man. I know he's not, but the point is, yes, that lineup could absolutely do it. They got more depth still. I mean, but it's just the problem of like you have to counter, A+ talent with A+ talent. You can't say you got 4 all-stars on your team or 5 with Boogie versus our 10 deep. It's like, well, those 5 are going to play all the minutes, so they're going to beat your your B+ player. Sorry.
And I mean, for Boston too, I almost think about it. Of course, Jason Tatum would start, but almost with Bradley Beal being on that team, I wonder if what could be a good thing is, hey, Tatum, you start. But then we kind of work it into where when the Hayward, Beal, and Kyrie are not on the court, that Tatum can be out there to run the second unit like he did last year when those 2 guys were injured. Maybe have a little bit of familiarity to last year as well, but you would also have him start because you're not going to bench JT.
Keep the ball out of his hands.
Well, you were bringing this up, like you said, centered around Jaylen Brown.
Right.
But, I mean, you were also saying off camera that you do Robert Williams and Jason Tatum for Bradley Beal right now.
100%.
And I think you're absolutely insane for that.
I think everybody thinks that Jason Tatum's going to be the next coming of Jesus, but or T-Mac or Michael Jordan. He's not. Like, y'all need to get over it. The fact he had an amazing postseason.
You went from T-Mac to Michael Jordan.
Well, T-Mac as far as his physical. So, T-Mac was insane. And, if
I'm
he had been
there's
healthy,
a couple guys between T-Mac and Michael Jordan.
But it seems like you're already giving up on him.
T-Mac was insane.
Yeah.
It already seems like you're giving up on him.
I'm not giving up on him. I'm not crowning his ass. Like, there's a difference between saying he's a superstar at 20, which he is fucking not, and you fucking Boston fans need to get over yourselves. Like, he's a very good player.
It's not even Boston fans. It's everybody.
No, it's Boston fans. They're just that loud.
I said it's everybody. Everybody thinks he's that good. I think that if you're giving up Bradley Beal, and if you're getting Bradley Beal and you're giving up Jason Tatum, I think you're losing that trade in the long run. Because Jason Tatum is going to...
The question is in the long run. In the meantime, you're going to win a championship.
Are you, though? Because,
I don't know.
Jason, you're probably getting rid of your 3rd best player then. If Bradley Beal's on that team, it'd probably Irving, Bradley Beal, then Jason Tatum.
Al Horford.
You're putting Horford above Tatum?
Right now, he's not playing so hot, but he's still a better player.
I disagree with that. I think that Tatum has more ability to take over a game and dominate it.
Yeah, he does, but that's not what constitutes a better player.
Well,
like you're picking little points of what entails an entire player,
and I think you're overlooking potential altogether.
Look, I'm not jerking off and playing 2K right now. Like that game is all about potential. That's the game where you go trade your entire team for draft picks and you win a championship in 2 minutes. Like that's not what the NBA is. There's a reason why the Phoenix Suns are dead last. Like, you can't just take great picks. They have amazing coaching in Boston.
Yeah, but they're making bad picks. They have one good player in Devin Booker. And DeAndre
and Bridges.
Well. I'm talking...
And TJ Warren.
Is he a great player?
He's putting up 23 and 7 right now.
Team's not
He's
doing
shooting
anything.
Incredibly well.
He's
a better player than fucking... I'll say
Get the fuck out of here.
Tatum is.
No, he's not.
Up to this point in this year, if you encapsulate these 18 games, who's a better player?
It's
TJ
18
Warren.
games.
TJ Warren.
Okay, last year, Bobby Portis was a better player than DeMarcus Cousins for an 18-game stretch. Like,
The 18 games he wasn't playing because he was hurt, or what?
I was being facetious. I mean,
18.
18-game stretch is such a small...
It's 1/4 of the season, roughly. I mean, it's an 82-game season, so we're talking just under a quarter. Yeah, just under a quarter of the season.
It's a quarter. Like,
I know. But, like, you have to respect the fact that up to this point in time, I feel like everybody wants Jason Tatum to be that guy. And he came out the gates this year taking terrible shots, holding the ball too long, and just not playing team basketball, which is the Brad Stevens way. Mm-hmm. So, like, yes, he's starting to play better now, which is awesome. Their defense has been incredible. Yes. Mm-hmm. But is he as good as Bradley Beal is today? No. Is Bradley Beal going to be better than him for the next 3 years? Probably. Is Jason Tatum going to be better than him after that? Maybe.
Here's even the last 8 games, though, outside of the last 10 games. In the last 8 games, Jason Tatum, 48% from the field, 45% from 3, 6 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, 17 points, and 1 turnover. I mean, he's been good. I mean, like, and it was a bad first 10 games. Yeah. And he had that horrible game where, I think it was like, second game of the season? It was the 4th game of the season against Orlando where he had 3 of 12 from the field and only had 7 points. But
he's a good player.
And he's only 20 years old.
Yes.
So, I mean, he's still got 5 years behind Bradley Beal. Like, I would not be trading Jason Tatum, especially on his rookie deal, for Bradley Beal, and even including Robert Williams, even though I don't care that much about that part.
He's just a throw-in. I mean, you have to make a contract work somehow else, but, like, yeah.
Yeah, those contracts don't work straight up, but it's just, at least the idea of, like, I get Bradley Beal's a great player on a great contract, but I mean...
This year... In the next year, the years you think you have the best chance to win a championship, or are you building long term? Like, that's all the question is in my mind.
Well, I think the Celtics have the ability to build long term.
So then
because you have Jason Tatum on that team.
That's fine.
And if Kyrie's gone, Gordon Hayward's gone, Jason Tatum I think could be a number 1 on a team. I don't think Bradley Beal has that ability.
He did it last year. John Wall was hurt for the
the Wizards were so great last year.
I'm just saying.
They only made it to the playoffs because John Wall came back.
Yeah, but Bradley Beal was playing fantastic.
But they weren't going anywhere. Devin Booker was playing fantastic last year, but there's a reason why
things we can't take back.
There was a reason why he was 9th in our shooting guard ranking because he wasn't winning. They weren't winning. Yeah. He was on a bad team, but he's a number 1 on a bad team. He's a number 2 on a good team.
Right.
Jason Tatum, I think, at his top potential, can be a number 1 on a good team.
And where is he right now?
He's 20 years old, Dave.
Number 3,
and he just dropped 18 in a playoff series, in a whole playoffs, and he just dropped 18 in the past game.
So
18 in the past 8 games.
On an okay team right now. That's what I'm hearing. That's all I'm hearing.
With me, I look at it and I'm going to throw out a different team.
Teams have struggles.
I'm going to throw in.
I just think you're being absolutely ridiculous about this.
I don't think I'm being ridiculous. I just hate people who want to put talent above where they're at because of potential. Potential's an amazing thing. But, like, it does not mean that they will hit that point. It does not mean that Jason Tatum will continue to develop and will not encounter any hardships or struggles of his own. It does not mean that he is, guaranteed to be a 26, 4, and 2 player. Like, that doesn't mean that's where he'll be. Like, did anyone know that, Hayward would come back and look like absolute trash this year? A lot of people guessed it because that was a pretty terrible injury. Mm-hmm. But, like, do you think he'll ever get back to where he was? Do you think he'll ever be a 25-5 player again? I don't.
No, I don't think
either. So that's the point. And it's also circumstances. If he was on his own team without 5 other probably like 7 quality starters on the Celtics right now, at least 7, like, you're just not going to get the same opportunity. So stats can be inflated and deflated. So you have to take it down to, like, how well they play, and you have to start looking towards advanced metrics because you're not like you're not going to get the true potential of a good player on a team stacked with good players. Like, you look at what happens to Draymond Green's stats as they added more talent. Mm-hmm. His role, like I said, he's a fucking giving tree out there. Like,
he's had to find his role in it.
He will give away to people because it makes the team better. Could he go out there and play for a different team and put up better stats? 100% yes. Mm-hmm. Stats aren't the be-all, end-all of basketball. Like, the eye test still is the best thing out there that we've got. And, like, you can't equivocate that into numbers all the time. Mm-hmm. So when I just say that, like, yes, you will be better, you will. It's all the point I'm trying to make is... Mm-hmm.
The last thing I kind of want to throw out there, and this is kind of getting away from the Celtics a little bit,
fine.
Is
they can't even make the deal happen. So I
found one team that could make a John Wall trade work this year.
Oh, great! Let's go back to this.
But I don't know if Sean's gonna like it.
This is Chicago Bulls.
The Bucks.
Oh.
What if the Bucks sit there
For John
and go,
Wall?
I didn't see that coming.
just think about this. Think about it. Most of their contracts, besides you've got Giannis at 24, you've got Bledsoe at 15 mil, and then Chris Midd at 13 before it starts going to like 11, 10, and then even less.
Well, Chris Midd's gone after that. He's a free agent.
What if they look at it and do this? Say, hey, can we beat the Raptors? With the current roster we have, in a 7-game series, can we beat the Raptors?
Yes.
What if they say no, though? What if they think no and flip a deal where they send Eric Bledsoe to the Wizards to get a guy like John Wall to help them? That's one thing that I was looking at.
Bledsoe for Wall?
Bledsoe for Wall, and then you would
fuck no.
picks in there too. I mean, it wouldn't just be them two.
Right now that team is winning. You were not messing with that.
And that's the thing. None of these
11.
deals are going to get done now. It's going to see what's going to happen. But that's another one where I could see if the Bucks think they can't compete with the Raptors in the playoffs. That's a spot I could see John Wall being
How does
at.
John Wall help that team? They're already moving the ball fantastically.
No,
at
He's
an
a worse shooter
unreal
than Eric
pace.
Bledsoe.
I'm just saying, if by the time we get close to the trade deadline, if things change and they think, hey, we can't beat the Raptors now,
I think they
that
can
could be a
struggle,
good spot
but
for him.
I think they can struggle, but I don't know how they help him. I think you're just adding talent for talent's sake.
He would just be a better talent than Eric Bledsoe.
But also, it's a whole different chemistry. Then it's a whole different environment that you're bringing in and changing. It might be adding more talent, but you're also adding more volatility to that team. Right now, that team's working, and right now, again, it's not really
John Wall's a cancer. That's what that meant.
Right now, he's a locker room cancer.
In some ways, yes.
Publicly talked about.
But I'm not saying like John Wall will destroy the Bucks in an instant, but I think it will definitely be harder for the Bucks to win games, especially starting off. And I don't know if it's going to take them from here like a tier 2 team all the way up to a tier 1 team. And right now, I think they're probably on tier 2 with the Toronto Raptors. Like, I don't think that you're going to change that team that much by adding John Wall, because John Wall then has to learn the system. He has to learn in playing in that system. Right now, Bledsoe's doing that. Bledsoe's fitting into the system, and they don't need John Wall to play hero ball. Like, can John Wall hit more game-winning shots and be more clutch down the line than Eric Bledsoe? 100%. But also, Eric Bledsoe's a better defender. He can still move the ball. He's a great passer. He's a big body that can drive to the lane. And he's a good shooter from the outside as well. And John Wall is as well. But I think it's just adding talent. Like, it's adding a name and hoping it does better. It's like when you can buy, name brand milk. Like, you can buy Dean's, or you could buy the Roundy's grocery store from Mariano's brand. You're still getting milk.
Yeah.
The thing you might I don't think you're adding anything besides the name.
Not saying they should. I'm just saying, as the season develops, if they start to feel like, hey, we can't compete with the Raptors, could be an option they look to. Not saying they should, not saying they will.
I don't think any team
trade for John Wall.
only way we saw
do it.
the only way we saw Blake Griffin.
Yes.
The only way we saw Blake Griffin get moved for the Clippers was because Stan Van was like, "All right, I'm losing my job," and that was the only way that deal was made. And unless a coach, unless Thibs is thinking that,
too bad
or a
Thibodeau can't
GM's
make
thinking that
trades.
way.
I mean, Wiggins, Okogie, first rounder, and something else.
That's the only way I think I see something happening is if they are that desperate that they need to make a move.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think any sane playoff team is going to be doing that.
That's why I want the Bulls to do it. I told you guys this before we started recording. They can't attract free agents. It's something we've been terrible at historically. We have assets and we have money to spend. Why not take a runner on John Wall? Yes, he doesn't fit the timeline exactly, but John Wall, Zach LaVine, Lauri Markkanen, Wendell Carter Jr., by the end of his contract, or probably the second, third year of his contract, we should be a playoff team the second year of his contract. So I'm just saying, there's a team.
I wouldn't hate it, but I'm not asking them to do it.
We have assets, and we can't get anybody in free agency, so why wouldn't we take a flyer on them?
I'm still pissed off about this Jason Tatum Bradley Beal thing. So I'm putting up a thing on our Twitter at Most Valuable Pod.
Would you rather have?
No, would you trade Jason Tatum for Bradley Beal?
Oh, okay.
Oh, man.
Yeah, would you trade Jason Tatum for Bradley Beal? That's the right wording. All right.
I'd rather than play together because they're buddies, but, like I said, kick out that Jaylen Brown kid. The no talent scrub.
Pissing me off.
I love him, but, I'm just saying.
Go ahead.
I think that if they could move Brown and another piece to fit contract in, I think that would be the best the best fit for both teams because it gets the Wizards back, a young potential star, and it gets the Celtics right back into the thick of things at the top of the East.
I think I'm going to have an aneurysm if we keep talking about this. So let's wrap it up. We got John Wall. Give me a percentage of what he was traded. I said 20-0. I'm more like, after talking to myself, I'm 10-0% chance that he's going to get traded.
I'm going to say 25 to 30% for John Wall.
Approximately 22%.
Okay, I like that. And then Bradley Beal, what do you think is the most likely landing spot that he is going to go, and does he get traded this year?
I'm going to say Boston. I'm going to say Boston's my one where the most likely 80% he gets traded this year. He's the one that goes.
I like the Charlotte one. You guys kind of talked me into that one.
Sean did.
I'm going to say only 40% chance he actually gets traded.
Why that? Why so low?
This has been a bad GM. Like, why do we expect him to make the right moves now?
Because money's calling, and your owner's being like, because I mean, this is the thing. Now you're actually getting up to that John Wall contract. That's but you're also getting up to that John Wall contract where now that's going to push over next year.
Yeah.
And now you have to make all of this work, and I think that's going to be such a struggle where when you start dealing with money and a team that's out winning, it's going to be hard for an owner to justify spending that money. That's why I think a deal is going to happen.
Phoenix Suns, and any interest in like a John Wall? That's one team that we didn't toss out.
Andy Bailey, who does NBA Hardwood, threw one out on Twitter. I don't know what you guys think about it, but he did throw one out. Purely a money-saving cap sheet, restructuring move for the Wizards. Trevor Ariza's deal is expiring. You get John Wall's contract free and clear. Deal can't happen until December 15th because of Ariza contract, but it's literally just Ariza for John Wall straight up.
Wow. I'm interesting.
And again, that's what I was saying. Like all the moves for John Wall right now
have no value coming back.
Are just cap moves. Wow. That's all they are, and that's crazy to think about.
Maybe that's what it's going to have to be for the Wizards. Is as long as we get that cap off, we're good. Like they're not going to expect anything in return for it.
Parker for John Wall.
Even then with Phoenix, it's like you already locked down Devin Booker.
Yeah.
You then have John Wall locked down, but also then you have Ayton for 4 years, and then you have Mikal Bridges for 4 years. But you're going to have to work in that window to win. And I don't think that's going to happen.
You've got Devin Booker already putting up 20-plus points a night. You've got Ayton putting up like 18 and 12. Like I don't think look, the West is just crazy, so I don't know that you realistically stand a chance, but they would be in the thick of things.
Yeah, I like Utah a lot for Bradley Beal. I think it's going to happen. I think he's most likely going to be traded. I would say probably 80 to 100%, like I said. Yeah. Probably just cut it in the middle, say at 90. I also would like to see Dallas possibly make a move if they're able to get rid of Wes Matthews' contract, because that's a one-year deal. So they'd be able to get rid of that. The Wizards would be able to get rid of that. They shoot a lot of threes, but are like in the middle of the pack when it comes to actual three-point percentage. If you're able to pair up Dennis Smith Jr., Bradley Beal, and Luka with Harrison Barnes, Dirk, you got DeAndre as well. You even got J.J. Barea.
What a playoff team.
Dorian Finney-Smith as well. I think it'd just be fun, to see, because, again, Bradley Beal's so young that you can still make moves again later down the road to help this team and possibly make the playoffs in a couple of years. And I think with the way Luka's going, he's going to be probably an all-star next year. And having Bradley Beal, who's already an all-star, is just going to make it easier. But Hornets would be fun too, because obviously we would love to see Kemba get some love here. But that's going to do it for the Bradley Beal John Wall discussion. Did not expect it to go 53 minutes, but it did. I think it will actually, if we cut the 7 minutes of intro that we had, it will be a little bit around 40. But let us know what you think about John Wall and Bradley Beal. Let us know what you think about Jason Tatum for Bradley Beal. Go to our Twitter at MostValuablePod. Let us know if you think John Wall is going to get moved. Know if you think Bradley Beal is going to get moved. And where do you think they will end up as landing spots. But let's move into the next topic, and it's a guy we mentioned in the Bradley Beal, John Wall discussion, Markelle Fultz. Would he possibly be included in a Bradley Beal deal? But he's got a lot of news covering him, and it's going to take a little bit for me to give it all out if you haven't heard about it, so let's just jump into it. Woj tweeted out Raymond Brothers, the agent for Sixers guard Markelle Fultz, tells ESPN, "I have given no indication to Elton Brand or anyone else that Markelle would prefer to be traded. My focus is to get Markelle healthy." End of story. On Tuesday, it was reported that Fultz would not participate in upcoming Sixers practices or games until after seeing a shoulder specialist next week. Brothers reportedly made the call to withhold Fultz from activity. Sixers coach Brett Brown said Tuesday he was surprised to learn Fultz needed to see a specialist, but the team supports his decision. There's also news that he has a wrist injury as well. And we just have a lot of going on. The Sixers also said they've seen 3 doctors, or have had Markelle see 3 doctors. All of them said his shoulder is absolutely fine. Now they have this wrist deal. There were rumors that he did request a trade, so a lot floating around that there were trade requests, Woj saying no, and also the agent for Fultz saying no. There might be a shoulder injury, there might be a wrist injury, and Fultz is stepping away at least for a little bit to check if he is healthy, stepping away from games and practices. So what are you taking away from all of this stuff with Markelle Fultz? Because it's just another year and more drama.
He's a bust. At this point, that's what I'm like. That is what I am thinking. And the reason why I say that is not like he can't come back from this, because he can't. If he comes back from it, then foot in my mouth, I'm wrong for even saying the B word. But right now, he's got bust written all over him. Because let's say this year, he steps away, doesn't play this year.
Pulls a Kawhi.
Comes back next year.
Jesus Christ.
That means the 76ers have 1 year basically to say, well, do we keep him another year? Do we not? And like based off of everything that's going on, if he doesn't play this year and doesn't play well, that just to me thinks that, first off, I think it's all mentally anyways with Markelle, because there's some shots he can hit. The ones that are muscle memory he can hit. The ones that he's got to think about he can't. And the 76ers got to make a decision. After next year, they're going to owe him about $12.2 million. So do they take that option or do they don't? And right now it's looking like he might be not a Sixer sooner than he would stay a Sixer.
Yeah, it's crazy that he's kind of getting to that Anthony Bennett territory where they might be declining that option for a number 1 overall pick.
Yikes.
But it's getting to that, Dave. I mean, again, he's not, I think, a foregone case as Anthony Bennett was, because Anthony Bennett looked absolutely terrible out there. Fultz, we still have some hope.
Yeah,
some people do.
Other aspects of his game are good.
Yeah, I mean, he could still
it's not,
play D. He could still drive, but
he's a decent facilitator. Like, yeah, the problem is it's just, you can't have another point guard who can't shoot on that team. That role's already taken. So it really puts the Sixers in a rough position. I don't want to call him a bust yet. I think that not everyone's career is going to go on the same trajectory. I think that he might have a rough start to his career, but he has all the talent and all the physicals to play better. Like, one of the guys that I always love looking back at, like, is Kyle Lowry. Like, there's a dude who started off, again, he was a much later pick. He was like 24th overall. But he's a guy who started off playing in Memphis for 2 years, played terribly, and not terribly, just not great. 6 points his first year, 9 his second year, couple middling years out, up until he got to Houston, still roughly under 10 points a game. It took him until he was 28 to become an all-star. His breakout season was at 27. Like, not everybody's going to have the same career arc, but like with Markelle, he has enough pieces to the game where he has value still. He's a great prospect to a lot of teams. And honestly, I look at this Sixers team and I go, if there's any team that can sit around and have him be on there without, eating up their time, potentially that's one of the teams where it's like they don't feel bad about it because they can still win games without him. They weren't depending on him to come in and carry this team. They were depending on him to be that 3rd or 4th guy on the team. They can go find that elsewhere.
Yeah. My thing with him is, Ricky's saying bust and you're saying, it's too early to call him a bust. I think it wouldn't be wrong to say Philadelphia fans could say he is a bust just because, again, that doesn't mean he's a bust for his career and he can never be anything in his career. But with what you gave up to acquire him, all the assets you have put into him, all the time you did put into him. A late
first-round pick, that's what they gave up for him?
And also Jason Tatum. I mean,
well,
there's two. I understand that it was a trade swap, but it ends up being Jason Tatum and that pick for Markelle Fultz.
Yeah. Well, I mean, scouting-wise, nobody outside of Danny Ainge had, Jason Tatum over Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz was by far and away the clear number 1 pick, and nobody can go back in time and tell you differently. Like, that's exactly what the story was. It was, here's the one, and then here's everybody else.
And I'm not saying that.
So, like, you can't revisionist history that one on me. I don't like that argument.
But I'm just saying, again, that's what the trade ends up coming out. When you look at that trade detail, it's number 1 for number 3. Who was the number 1 pick? Markelle Fultz. Who was the number 3 pick? It was Jason Tatum. You did not have to make that move.
Yep.
Again, you didn't have to go up and get Markelle Fultz. You went up and took him, and I don't think anyone's saying at that time that you should have taken Jason Tatum. I'm not saying that.
Yep.
But you also didn't have to go up and trade for the number 1 overall pick. So you could have forced them to possibly take Jason Tatum. And then maybe Fultz falls to you. Maybe Lonzo Ball falls to you. You don't know who's going to end up happening, but you didn't have to go up and give future assets and that third pick up. You made that move to go up and get Markelle Fultz. And if he's not going to be on your team, and Keith Pompey of the Philadelphia Inquirer, a very trusted beat writer from Philadelphia, is now saying that the Sixers no longer consider Fultz to be in their long-term plans. Some sources have said that despite the team's statement, Fultz is no longer in the Sixers' long-term plans, and they are no longer using his shoulder as an excuse for his performance. So, I mean, this is a team that's already over the guy that they put those assets into. And again, I think it's fair if he doesn't pan out and he does end up moving away from the Philadelphia 76ers, that he can be a bust in the Sixers franchise storyline.
That's fair.
Again, he's only 20 years old. So if I'm saying, if we're going back to that last segment, Bradley Beal for Jason Tatum is absurd because of the potential that Tatum has. I think I have to give that to Fultz as well because Fultz is again 20 years old. He never had the showing out that Tatum did last year of shooting 55% from three or whatever the fuck he did.
He did his showing in college,
from three. No, I'm just saying for Tatum.
For
Tatum, like he didn't have, he didn't have the NBA, at least success so far. But Fultz at least is still young, and I absolutely love him coming out of college. And if it is mental, it might be able something that is fixed. So I look at this, and I wouldn't say he is a bust like for his career, but I'm also not saying that he's not a bust in some ways. And with all of this, I just don't see how he can be a Philadelphia 76er. And in some ways, I think you can liken this to the Josh Gordon situation in Cleveland, where maybe this isn't the biggest thing that happened with Markelle Fultz. Maybe this isn't the biggest end-all, be-all for Markelle Fultz in Philadelphia. But it just might be the thing where Philadelphia is ready to move on. They have Jimmy Butler, they have Ben Simmons, they have Joel Embiid. They have their big three. Yep. It's time to move on and get players that are going to help us win. Because Markelle Fultz, he might be able to help us win, but also he's giving us a major headache, and we just need to get this distraction off the team so we can focus on the team. I mean, it's not the 76ers and Markelle Fultz. It is the 76ers, and it is our chase for the NBA title. And I think that is something that might end up happening. Maybe not right now, because maybe they do help him get reevaluated. Maybe he does have an injury to his wrist, and maybe that's why he is performing poorly and can't, pump faking at the free throw line, he's doing this practice and firing up a shot. I think that the tipping point could come soon, and I wouldn't be shocked if he's not on the team at the end of the year.
Well, and kind of the thing that Dave said, like the 76ers don't need to panic with him right now, and that's because they got Jimmy Butler, they got Ben Simmons, they have Joe. Like, they don't need him out there to win games, but that time is coming soon. The time that you're talking about, Sean, is coming sooner rather than later, because basically you've got 2 years. You've got this year and next year to basically, I'm going to say it this way, it's going to sound bad, but this is just the blunt way to say it, to get your shit together. And, like, the quicker that Markelle can figure out, is it a wrist? Do I need to do what Charles Barkley said and go see a sports psychiatrist so that I can help get my shot in order? Because with the 76ers, money-wise, you got to be thinking of this. Joe's locked down. End of this year, Jimmy's going to be getting his contract. Then at the end of next year, Ben's going to be wanting his money. And I'm telling you, if I'm already giving money to Joe, already giving money to Jimmy, and I got to sign Ben Simmons, I'm not paying Markelle Fultz $12 million with what I've seen so far. The other domino that it's not good for Markelle is, what if Zaire Smith comes out next year after his injury and balls out? And then they go, you know what? Let's keep Zaire around because we have 2 club options with him at $3 and $4 million respectively, and it's a lot cheaper than what we'd be paying Markelle to be around.
I don't even think it's a money issue. I know you're bringing up the stuff with the contract extension, signing Jimmy.
Well, I mean, the $12 million for what he's been doing is kind of huge.
But also you have that ability to work with that because again, the way your deals are structured, they're worked into their deal. So it's not like bringing a free agent on. You can go over the salary cap because he's already a guy that you signed. He's a rookie deal. Right. You're allowed to have those rookie contracts on your deal, and it really not affecting your cap as much as signing like a free agent like a Jimmy Butler. Like that's going to hurt your cap more than just.
But let me put it this way before
accepting that.
Just quick before Dave jumps in, if that's the case, like it is, then I would decline that because of what Markelle has done, and I would give that $12 million to a free agent that could help my team win.
Why? Here, the thing is like, why would you just cut ties altogether when you could get something from another team? Because you might be sick of them, but you still have a former number 1 overall pick who's 20 years old.
If they get to that point, if I can trade him beforehand, I trade him beforehand.
Well, I don't think he's untradeable.
No,
like I don't think right now the state that he is
either.
healthy or not, he's untradeable. I don't think there's going to be anything in this next year that's going to make him untradeable unless he starts saying like a ton of racist shit or something like that. Like unless he starts to be a literal cancer.
I'm just saying if they
on
get
and off
to
the court,
that point,
which I don't think is going to happen. Well, I don't think that part. To get to that part, I think is going to be extremely drastic, where he's going to have no trade value at all. Because even then, you could get a second pick over a second round pick for him. You can get a very highly protected first round pick. Like I don't think he's ever going to reach that point where no team is ever going to take a flyer. I mean, people are still taking flyers on Jahlil Okafor. People are still taking flyers on Michael Carter Williams. Like even Carmelo Anthony, like he got a flyer this year. Markelle Fultz is going to be able to get a flyer, and if it's minimal value that you are getting back, you still want some value than just cutting them outright, because that's a very, very drastic move. And I think something that Dave, when Dave mentioned you have a lot of guys to rely on, and he's going to make them expendable. That's again like Josh Gordon. They had Jarvis Landry, they had Ricardo Lewis, they had all these guys that they did have. Now they finally had weapons. The Browns got sick of them. They cut them. I don't think either, or they traded him for a 5th round pick. But I don't think I think that's going to be more of the situation that they'll try to find some value in the trade market than just cut them outright. But I think that time is coming soon, and I would be again shocked if he is on this team past the trade deadline, because if he is injured, the moment I think he comes back, I think they start taking feelers, and maybe they try to acquire a Bradley Beal by using him as a centerpiece. But even then, if he is injured, why would the Wizards even want to take that on? Because if this kid's struggling, you have to put more time and effort into it. You could possibly be getting more for Bradley Beal in different ways.
It depends on what you see. Like, people value shit differently. I mean, I look at this Sixers team and I say, well, the only argument I've heard to match along with Ricky as far as money is concerned is that they would be able to add another like $30 million contract onto this team next year if they moved his contract for something that's off the books at the end of this year, a la a Trevor Ariza. Something in that realm. Then if you can throw $30 million at somebody, that's probably going to get you a better talent than it would be, to have Markelle Fultz on this team next year. So there's that argument. Very easy. As far as him, other teams invest in him, I agree, Sean. He's still something interesting because he still has a great skill set outside of his shot. The big problem is, how much time and how much drama and how much is going to go in off the court that's going to take attention away from the team. So I look in that respect. I look for desperate teams. Phoenix is the obvious one because, like I just said, like the Trevor Ariza deal, it's been floated out there like a million times by everybody because, oh, look, they want a 3-and-D wing who's off at the end of the year. There you go. Problem solved, and then you get your money back next year. I look at Orlando as another team who would love to have a point guard who's competent. No offense, but like DJ Augustine, you ain't that great, and Markelle Fultz has potential regardless of how well or bad he's playing right now.
Well, and he also has a crazy wingspan. So clearly, that front office for Orlando's gonna love it.
Milwaukee, get all over this shit. Like, where are you at?
Well, that's Hammond of the Bucks went to the Magic,
exactly.
So now they become wingspan, team wingspan.
I
just think that again, like even Minnesota, like if they get desperate, like they could take him on because I know they have Teague and Derrick Rose, but also we've seen the effect that Derrick Rose has had on these young players. Maybe he does need a guy who's gone through the ringer like a D Rose to help him move through it. Like
interesting.
I think that there's teams out there that. Even if they're not that desperate, they can still try and piece something out of them. Right now, you could even say, hey, again, I'm going to throw out Denver because I always throw out Denver.
Yeah.
But right now, they're working on a reclamation project, Michael Porter Jr. Maybe they just put him in a boot camp, like basketball 101. We'll turn the lights off and have you guys shoot and just get the form down. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Doesn't matter if it's going in. Just get the form down. That's all that you need to be doing. Take the rim away from Markelle Fultz and just have him stand behind the 3-point line and just shoot. Just watching this kid, like you said, Ricky, even before, he can step up and hit a running jumper from the right of the elbow, and it looks exactly normal.
Well, if he has to catch and shoot it, game off.
If he has to think about it, if he is at the line, he's gonna pump fake even though the ball slipped. I don't know what this kid needs. I don't know if he's just being stubborn. I don't know if he's injured. And I think that Philadelphia, a team that is competitive, just needs to start moving away from him. And it's not because he's not a talented player. It doesn't mean he can't become an all-star in any way. It doesn't mean he can't be a top 10 point guard at his peak, but he does need a change of scenery. And maybe a team like Memphis that has the ability to take D-leaguers and turn them into starters on their team. Dallas has done that before. San Antonio's done that before. Maybe they take a shot. And even San Antonio, without having DeJounte Murray, maybe they do look for a point guard. Like, there's some teams that can
point guard
find.
Who can't shoot.
There's some teams that can find potential in his value.
DeJounte Murray can't shoot.
Yeah,
he's pretty good. He's all. What is he? Second team defense.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I don't think Markelle is that good defense, but there's value there, and I agree, Sean. I think that he will get moved. His drama and trauma with the Sixers organization has gone on too long, and it just there's going to be value for them. They're going to find a better fit as far as the team needs right now, and that set up the team for better future success. So I just don't think that he stays a Sixer for this through the NBA draft. I don't know if he makes it.
Give it to the end of the season.
I'll give it after the end of the season. I think there's still that window, like up into the draft, where he could be moved. I think once we hit free agency, it's a different story. Like, he needs to be gone before free agency happens.
Could we see, I'm going to throw this out there, this season, could we see a Kyle Korver for Markelle Fultz swap?
Steal the century.
For who?
That's it. Kyle Korver for Markelle Fultz?
He said steal the century.
You think the Cavs giving up a 37-year-old Kyle Korver for a 20-year-old Markelle Fultz?
Hey, Kyle Korver could mean a ring for Philly. We don't know.
No.
We saw what Bellinelli did.
We're hoping he gets cut, though. By we, I mean Sixers fans. It's one of those.
Sixers fan now?
No, I'm just a part-time one for Jake. I got to fill in for Jake because he's on the show every week, But yeah, like he's one of those guys who the Cavs are trying to get value out of. Everybody else is hoping, just cut him. We'll pick him up on waivers.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel bad for the kid, and we don't know what he's going through. We don't know if he's actually injured or not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's something wrong with him. Whether it's mental or physical is up in the air.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100% there's something wrong with him. But again,
I sort of want the Celtics to just grab him on the cheap, just to
and
totally
then have
fuck the 76ers.
and Markelle Fultz.
Now you're saying
the
so.
Sacramento
If that
pick.
happens, would you at least agree with me? Then it's a total bust of a trade.
Oh, I think it'd be hilarious.
Because then it's just straight up. You gave them
nothing.
Jason Tatum.
Yeah, you gave them Jason Tatum and the sack pick, which will be like a late teens right now, and Markelle Fultz. Like, they get all the pieces for like nothing.
You just gave them a pick in Markelle Fultz.
That's the post-Hinkie front office right there.
Oh man, I feel bad for the kid, and I feel bad for
feel
Philadelphia
terrible
fans because it's not like they're rooting against him.
Mm-hmm.
They're just getting sick of him being bad at basketball.
Yeah.
And again, he has some flashes, but consistently it's not there. And I don't know what he needs. And you keep bringing up, Barkley says he needs a sports psychiatrist, but I don't know. He's not the first
to suggest it, and he won't be the last.
I don't know if that's redeemable, like his shot. Because I don't think he's ever going to be able to get out of it. Like, he needs a hypnotherapist rather than a psychiatrist. But let's give our final thoughts about Markelle Fultz, because I don't think he's going to be helping the Sixers this year, even if he does come back. Maybe off the bench he'll be doing something, but I think you're better off just rolling with T.J. McConnell even when he does come back for a while. Like, you tried him in the starting.
Shamet.
Yeah, Shamet as well.
He's fantastic. He's shooting excellent from the outside. He's an awesome presence out there.
You tried Fultz out there in the starting lineup, and it didn't work. And I think you just got to play him on limited minutes. And if he is doing well in a game, don't take him out, Brett Brown, because there's been multiple games where he's done fantastic in the first three quarters, and it's like, all right, he's not playing the fourth.
Yep.
And it's like, what are you doing? Like, you need
Brett Brown's a bad coach.
Ride the
Can
hot.
you admit that too? Because we're on the same side. On this
Ride
side
the
of
hot
table
hand.
about that.
I'm getting close to it.
Okay.
But ride the hot hand. Quit being stubborn. Quit throwing TJ out there. If the kid's gonna gas himself out, just let him gas himself out, and let it be because he's tired, so he can at least leave with some confidence instead of being like, man, I was playing well. What do I need to do?
Yeah.
I think he just needs a entirely different situation where he's not in a situation where this team's about to win. He's not going to be starting at all, or at least forced to start. He's starting because he's the best player on the team, not just forced to start because he's a number one pick. He needs a change of scenery in the most way necessary. And I think probably Phoenix is the best shot, because just throw him out in the desert. Literally just put him away where no one's going to watch him.
I completely agree.
The last one I'll throw out is I made an addition to the Philly-Cleveland trade. J.R. Smith and Kyle Korver for Winston Chandler and Markelle Fultz.
Did you say Winston?
Yeah. I said Winston.
Why?
Oh, just felt like it.
No, you didn't know his name. That's why. Jesus
Wilson
Christ.
Chandler.
All right,
and
we're done.
Markelle Fultz.
We're going to cut that part. That's a bad trade. That's a dumb trade. You know what they don't need? J.R. Smith.
That's the best part. J.R. Smith.
You were literally giving them 2 better players for 2 worse players.
Well,
J.R. Smith and Kyle Korver do not help.
Chandler's off at the end. Like, he's done at the end of the year, but they'll re-sign him. It's not like he's walking anywhere, I don't think. But it was an expiring contract, and I know Cleveland wants to get rid of J.R.
So they're going to... Cleveland would get away like bank robbers with that one. Like, what are you thinking about? Did you just like see the green bar?
That one
come
was
up
I
on the
just
trade
threw
machine?
stuff at the wall.
I think you just do that for most part.
It's
of these trade
green.
machines. I think we're gonna start.
See? Damn, it says this trade is successful.
I think we're gonna block trade machine on your computer.
No, you can't do that.
What does it say for added wins on there?
You have not affected the win percentage of this team.
Either team?
Both of them.
Nice. All right, cool. I mean, Wilson hasn't played much because he's been injured.
And neither has Markelle.
And neither is JR because he's just sick of this team. But let us know what you think about Markelle Fultz down in the comments below. And before we move into our favorite segment, Ricky, I hope you don't take too much offense to this because I am trying to have fun. But with that last trade of J.R. Smith and Kyle Korver to the Sixers for Markelle Fultz and Winston Chandler. Dave and I came up with some trades in the vein of Ricky Widmer. I'll go first because yours is better. The Wizards trade John Wall and Bradley Beal to the Charlotte Hornets for Nick Batum and Bismack Biyombo. And the Wizards lose 13 wins, and the Hornets somehow only gain 5 for trading 2 bad contracts for 2 All-Stars.
Pretty terrible. But I got one to top that one for you. I've got the Orlando Magic trading Evan Fournier, Timothy Mozgov, and Jerian Grant for Bradley Beal and John Wall. It is plus 10 wins for the Magic. Only 10 wins for giving them a starting point guard and shooting guard, things they don't have.
Oh my God.
And only a minus 12 for the Wizards. I don't know how that offense runs. I don't know how they play basketball in Washington without them.
I was going to try to make a LeBron and KD trade, but they just re-signed, so I can't do it, so it doesn't matter. Well, hold on, let's do this.
I got one for you.
I was going to try to get Steph going to Charlotte.
I got one more.
God,
Steph goes to
Curry.
Chicago.
Okay, there you go. This is a prime Ricky trade.
For Rolo, Felicio, Holiday, and Campaign.
There it is. What's the win difference?
-5 for the Bulls, -13 for the Warriors.
So you just made both teams worse somehow.
I don't agree with them on the negative for the Bulls.
Not at all. They're definitely going to win more games with trading away and getting Steph Curry. Anyways, let's go to Wet Boys. We're talking about the soggiest of shooters, the dampest of dudes, the moistest of wings, the
Wangs.
the watery of wings. I don't know what we're talking. We're talking about the guys who had fantastic weeks, either record-setting weeks, absolutely went off, had phenomenal performances. Shout out to Vince Carter. He would have been a Wet Boy. He got 25K.
Lifetime achievement, Wet Boy.
Yeah, he got 25K in his career this week, so he would have been a prime Wet Boy. If you got Kyle Lowry, who dropped 19, 17, and 12 on a triple-double, he would have been a prime Wet Boy. We like to look at the guys who had great weeks and give them an award. Last year, LeBron James was our king, and Ricky, you're helping his total for this year, huh?
No, I am, and I'm giving him back-to-back Wet Boys. I believe I got to look at the counter. He now has 2 on the year, tied with AD and Derrick Rose.
Jesus Christ!
He went off again. Like, it was funny because you guys, I was sick last week. You guys recorded it, and the day Wet Boys went up, there was someone in the comment section, and he scored 51. So he scored 51. You got to give it to LeBron again. He is doing what he's got to do. This team, started off 2-5. Now they're 8-2 since going 2-5 to start the year. LeBron, he's making that team go.
Yeah, LeBron is a guy that he's a great pat statter, but a big thing we do like to take in is not only are you statting your pats, but also are you winning games. And that's a prime example of that. The one guy that I think is getting totally screwed though, because he's not in this week, is Giannis Antetokounmpo, because he's been having absolutely phenomenal weeks that he's always an honorable mention, but he's just never doing enough apparently. Yep. Because Dave is like, we're gonna go with a complete wild card here, and we're gonna give it to
Nikola Vucevic.
Why?
It's Gucci Mane.
Why over Giannis?
Because he had a great week. He had a 28, 10, and 9 game, which is just fucking impressive. Overall on the week, he was averaging 24, 12, and 3, 59% from the field, 93% from the line. He is one of the best bigs in the NBA that nobody cares about because he's on the fucking Magic.
Now, if he's been this good,
he has no value to any team.
If he's been this good,
yeah.
Since he has no value to a team, does that mean Draymond Green
straight up
will not work?
Let's put on the board straight up.
Can you put that in the trade machine, Ricky, and see if it will work real quick? But I mean, Voos really.
Yeah,
he moved you that much to give him a win. I know they just beat the Sixers.
He had,
or that was the Cavs just beat the Sixers. My bad.
They were 2-2 on the week. They beat the Lakers, and the Knicks lost to Toronto in a close one. That was a nail biter, 2-point game, and Denver got blown out. But no, he had a great week.
It works straight up.
It's really? Still straight up.
What's the win difference?
+5 for the Warriors, -10 for the Magic.
Wow. So he's a
Are they just taking
needle
per?
mover.
Are they just taking per?
I think so.
It's a per.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Draymond's per is a 12.6.
And what's Voos?
And Voos is a 25.9.
Yeah, that's why.
Gee.
Yeah, man, that's bad.
He's playing good.
Straight
Give
up.
the man credit.
No, he is for sure. But again, it's like your team isn't doing much. Like we talked about this last week in Pretenders Contenders. I don't think they're a playoff team. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, he was fantastic in the first 18 games last year too. This team was like,
well, everybody was shooting from 3 in those first 18 games.
Yeah, they were like the Milwaukee Bucks this year. Like they were insane at the start of the year last year. I think they're going to definitely fall off though, but it's just my opinion.
He deserves it.
Shout out Vucevic. He got his first for this year and last year.
Yeah, I say this might be his first ever.
It's his first career wet boy.
Yep.
I'm going to go with a team that is
a team.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to go with a player on a team
afraid you're gonna
that
Phoenix
is
Suns again.
only one standing. Ooh, you guys went the Warriors without me.
I know.
A team that is above them in the standings. This guy is absolutely carrying them to a great 9-9 record. They were 2-2 in the last 4 games, but this is not due to him because in one of those games he lost, he literally put up 60 points. Kemba Walker is my wet boy, averaging 36 points per game in the past 4 games, 7 assists, 2 steals, 54% from the field, 43% from 3. That game against Philadelphia, he was automatic. It was absolutely disgusting what he was doing. Jimmy Butler had a phenomenal performance in the later half in that OT session where he had the game-winning block, or at least game-saving block, on Kemba and then hit the game-winning shot on the right wing. But then, comes back, puts up 43 against Boston. They helps him get a win against Indiana, and then scores 25 in a loss against OKC, where they only lost by 5. Kemba Walker absolutely helps the team. That dude needs help in Charlotte too, and that's why I absolutely love that Bradley Beal idea because finally getting him a second star to play along would absolutely be fun to watch because they're still dealing with Nick Batum's bad contract, Marvin Williams' bad contract. They don't have that great of bigs out there. They have Bismack Biyombo's awful contract as well. So that's one guy that definitely needs some love. And shout out to Kemba Walker. If he's not going to be winning games, he can at least win a wet boy. And let's move out into our fantasy update. Boys, we have 78 points, which is more than we did last week. We are in 7th. One move we did make, Ricky, that you weren't here for, it was picking up Mitch Robinson, but someone dropped JaVale. So I picked up JaVale McGee.
Nice.
So JaVale is a guy that's now on our
surprising
team.
drop.
The biggest news, though, is Mike. He's no longer number
been
1.
dethroned?
Trevor is now number 1. The big ballers.
Shout out to
The
Trevor.
big ballers are number 1 right now.
There we go. So shout out to Trevor. He's got 99
and
points.
he's got Kemba on his team.
I wonder how that. Yeah.
Nice. So
Mike fell all the way to 3rd.
Yeah, Mike's at 3rd. Philadelphia 0 and 76ers at 2. Grantham's at 4. LA LeBronzo at 5. What's Up Nation at 6. They are 3 points ahead of us. Kawhi So Serious at 8. Super Hippo at 9. 10 Atlanta Just Incredible. And then 11 we got Corrupt. 12 we got Trust the Process. And 13 we got Craft. Looking at where we stand, we are 5th in field goals made. That's due to Russ coming back. Russ has been pretty good this week. Field goal percentage, we are also at 5th. Free throw percentage, we are
Still booty.
9th? 9th out of 13. We're probably middle of the pack when it comes to 3-pointers made. We are 3rd in 3-point percentages. About 7th? 5th, 6th. I don't know how to count.
Simple math's
6th
real hard.
in rebounds.
Like it's a 1 to 13 scale, boys.
We are 5th in assists. We are 6th in steals. We are we're 5th to last in blocks. And then we are 6th in points.
Are we going to work a deal out for Drummond? Because that free throw percentage is getting tanked, I think. I think it's him. I think he's the reason why we're so bad.
He's clearly the worst free throw shooter on our team.
Were we going to work a trade out for him?
Vitwan, though. That was a nice move.
Thank you. I honestly forgot I added him.
Yeah.
And I don't even know who I dropped.
He's good at basketball.
So that's cool. I had him for some reason. He dropped like 30 in back-to-back games, and I just added him.
Yeah.
But I don't even remember who I dropped for him. But shout out to each one. We still could add Mitch Rob too, because he's been he had another like 8-game block performance. But I don't know if we should go and trade for Drummond or trade Drummond, because again, if he's been taking our free throw percentage, who is really going to want to take him?
Yeah.
Someone who needs rebounds.
But we also kind of need rebounds. We're not leading the league in rebounding. Like we're like middle of the pack.
I mean,
so if we tank rebounds, are we just then going to tank? Like if we're taking free throws right now, are we going to take rebounds?
Well, it depends. Well? I mean, if we move JaVale in and
because JaVale's got 6 a game, but I mean Drummond's got 16. It says here.
Yeah. Drummond's good at basketball, just not shooting it from the free throw line. Look, boys, we are like 4 weeks away from DeMarcus Cousins. Just saying.
Is it really that soon?
They're hoping to be back after the Christmas games.
So maybe we move him after Boogie comes back?
Yeah, maybe.
I think that's probably our best option.
I do want to give a shout out to the guy that we gave a shout out to last week as well.
I love you in the comments.
Bomani Matambo. I believe it's Matambo, not
you dropped the H.
Matambo.
That's what he told us.
Bonani Matambo. We got an Australia listener, so shout out Bonani. But he said, all right, let's get down to it. I'm assuming you're playing an 8-cat roto league. How many categories do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10. The only thing we added, I think, were 3-point percentage and then field goals made. So we had, because typically I think it's field goal percentage, 3-pointers made, and then rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, points. We added 3-point percentage and then field goals made, just to make that completely even. Tanking an entire category mean you would have 0 chance of winning a competitive league. Imagine I came out of an exam and told you that the last 12.5% of the paper, I closed my eyes and guessed the answers, yet somehow I expect to get the highest grade in the class.
Sounds like you went to college with me.
Well, he said ridiculous, right? Well, that's what you're saying when you say you're going to completely ignore free throw percentage. To win the league, you need to be competitive, top 3 or 4 in every category. If you were playing head-to-head, that would be a completely different story, which I can explain if you wish, but isn't relevant at the moment. I understand. If you're trying to win, if there's 10 categories, you're trying to win 9 of them and just getting rid of the one because free throws isn't going to kill you.
And this is not like baseball where literally the baseball is so broken where I could win every pitching category and just need to steal bases and could win the league.
Yeah, because I was trying to do that last year too. I did that. I won Ks, and I think I won average for batters, but I only came in 3rd.
Here's a trade that maybe we can do in the future.
Well, hold on. I'm not even done with this. These comments, boy. This is something that we need. We don't need your dumb trades.
Okay, I didn't know.
I love you. To win the league, you need to be competitive in every category, because this is like fantasy basketball for dummies.
He's legitimately
for us. If you're playing head-to-head, that would be a completely different story, but you cannot neglect a category in Roto. You can't do it in the Mike Singletary voice, so you're suggesting of taking free throw percentage. We're getting that out of here immediately. While PR15 is helpful, it's not the most effective way to determine a player value. Didn't think so. It's an easy number to digest for me. I manually use Z-scores, which is the most accurate way of determining value. If someone wants to Google Z-scores, I'd appreciate it, because I don't know what that is. And I'm stunned that ESPN doesn't use them. ESPN had almost all the pre-draft player rankings completely wrong, by the way. That's another story. It was good for me because I had my own rankings, so I was able to get players I could values, but I was bemusing how they could release such blank ratings / projections. Just a word I don't like using. It's the R word for people that I was bleeping. Anyway, the trick is to get players who don't hurt you in any categories. Think of it this way. You can compete in overall rebounds without Drummond, but you can't compete in free throw percentage with them. Equal, do not draft him. You can get rebounds elsewhere. You don't have to have the top rebounder to be competitive in rebounding. My bigs in the 10-team league I play every year are Davis, Whiteside, Vucevic, and Love, who Jared Allen is filling for really well. That is Love. Now, Whiteside is a bad free throw percent shooter, but here's the logic behind that. The rest of my team shoots over 80%, so it'll bring me down to an average for now. In the meantime, however, he's collecting a ton of boards, and him and AD are putting me so far ahead in blocks that I'll basically win that category by the trade deadline. At that point, I'll trade Whiteside to one of my teams with really low blocks for a useful player with good free throw percentage, and I'll maintain my lead at the blocks. But now for my free throw percentage will skyrocket to the top 2. Boom. So you got to get rid of Drummond unless you have a strategy like mine. in place at time of drafting. So we didn't have that. We didn't actually make that strategy.
Let's be honest.
But
there were
Boogie,
a few people at that draft where even the comments said should have went with some of the guys I was throwing out.
for sure. But my thing is with that, we didn't have that strategy in the draft at all. Our strategy was nothing. Pick the players we liked. But we kind of just came up with that strategy with the DeMarcus Cousins thing, where we ride out Drummond and then just try to push for that free throw percentage because Boogie's most likely going to get us boards. So did you have an idea, at least with that free throw percentage in mind? What was the trade idea?
Maybe one that we could target, and this is if Justin wants to, trading for like a Marc Gasol, where Marc Gasol still averages about 9.8 rebounds a game, but he shoots 70% from the foul line. Like he's still making 3.7 out of every 4.9 foul shots.
He's at 70 though?
Yeah, like 75%. Like that's the target we should go. Still try to get a center or a big that can get rebounds so we don't tank it, but is a better free throw shooter than Drummond.
He's at 70 though, right?
It says
I want to
here,
make sure that you have.
It says right here 75.3, and he's 3.7 per every 4.9 attempt.
Right now, Drummond is 54 and he's pretty much 3 of every 5.5 attempts. So yeah, definitely be an upgrade there. The only thing too with that is, with Justin, you look at the position rankings. You're trading Drummond, who's currently 16th in positions, compared to Marc Gasol, who's 5th. So
I'm not saying like Gasol's the guy, but maybe that's something.
Well, no, but I'm saying like
someone who still gets some rebounds.
I feel like to get that, like a guy like Marc Gasol, we would need to add more onto that.
Yeah.
Because again, right now, even from a ranking spot, Gasol is much higher than Drummond.
And I mean, we could do that. Like, I'm not handicapped to anyone on this team. If we needed to trade anyone, I would.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not married to anyone on this team, I should say. Even Trae Young.
I'm pretty married to Gary Harris, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I know. I know you are.
I love him so much. Because he's a guy that's not going to hurt you. He's not going to he's not gonna guy. He's a guy that's pretty good. He's a guy, you look at him. He's like 44% from the field, 32% from 3, 79% from the line. I mean, Gary Harris is a good guy. So I think, Boogie, I don't want to move Boogie either. So, I mean, who would you want to give up then? Who are you thinking? Like, if we need to sweeten that pot.
There's not one name.
Because I don't hate the
Marc
Gasol idea.
I'm not saying like him, but I'm not like, if you were like, yeah, we got to give up this guy too, I wouldn't be like, no, let's not give up him.
What do you think is logical?
Depends on what you want to add. Like, are we doing 2 for 1 to where he would have to drop a player, or would we just do 2 for 2?
Well, let's see how bad his team is. Because maybe we could just take on a terrible player. JJ Barea? Is he terrible enough? He's just 18.
He's playing pretty low.
Reggie Jackson? Who's being dropped a lot in his league? Dwight Powell? Should we pick up Dwight Powell? He's doing nothing really. What are your thoughts on picking up Dwight Powell? We'll trade Dwight. So we'll get Marc Gasol and Dwight Powell for Drummond. And who's a guy that's not? What does he need exactly?
I don't know. I'm not looking at the standings.
Can you look at the standings?
I was looking at his team. Let's see. He is field goals.
Great content, by the way, guys.
Field goals made and field goal percentage. He's also duty at that as well.
So field goal percentage he needs.
Yes. Wait. Yeah.
Well, Drummond will help that. Brogdon?
I'm fine with giving up Brogdon. I was fine. I wanted to drop him weeks ago.
Brogdon's fantastic. That's the problem.
Fucking great.
Yeah,
Brogdon's not a guy that hurts you. I don't think he would take Brogdon.
We'll figure this out. We'll find someone. We'll find someone to add to it. But that's maybe somewhere we have to go with this.
Again, if you're in our league, hit us up with trades for Andre Drummond.
We're always listening.
What if we just drop him?
No.
Why not?
We gotta get something for him.
Why? What if we just drop him? Let's just drop him. Let's just drop him right now. Come on. What's the worst that could happen?
Let's just drop our whole team then.
No, I'm not gonna do that. We should just drop him. Let's just drop him.
Drop Russ too.
No, we're not gonna drop Russ.
Why are you crying?
Right now, Drummond's not helping us.
We gotta get something for him though.
Why? Let's just.
This is really helping his sell price
How about
right
this?
now.
How about this? We pick up Isaiah Thomas. We just drop Andre Drummond straight up. Thoughts?
Isaiah Thomas will help with free throw percentage.
Yeah, he's not going to hurt us in any way because he's not even playing.
Exactly.
So I think that's a good idea. We're now officially dropping Andre Drummond for Isaiah Thomas. Give us trade ideas. If you are in our league, hit me up on Twitter, @MostValuablePod. Slide into the DMs. We are ready to make a deal for Andre Drummond. We will take your garbage. We will take your Trae Young equivalents. We will take your Dennis Smith Jr.'s. We will take your Frank Nikitalinas or Ntilikina's. Hit us up, dudes. Our team is middle of the pack. We're good, but not great. That's probably this podcast slogan as well. So if you have any trade ideas, throw them down in the comments.
Carmelo Anthony.
We'll
drop him for Carmelo.
Is he available?
I'm sure he is.
I mean, has Drummond ever been on an Olympic team?
Yeah. I've never seen Drummond in a hoodie.
I've never seen him in a hoodie either. So, hoodie Mello.
Can't hurt.
He can't hurt. He's not playing. So, we're going to drop Andre Drummond for Carmelo Anthony. That's the deal. But let's move into the final topic. Hopefully this one will be having a little less arguments and a little less picking on Ricky. If it's been too far for you, Ricky, I apologize. Dave, if I've been an asshole to you, I have no sympathy because you're an asshole back then.
Jason Tatum, Bradley Beal.
I know some people might leave this being like, oh, Sean's a real dick, and I am. But let's finish this up and let's talk about the NBA draft. We've been hitting this now for 3 straight weeks. We talked about Zion Williamson, and if he's NBA ready, yeah, he is. We talked about Bol possibly being KP. Some people, it was a lot of interesting takes on that one. I appreciate all the feedback we got on that one. Some people saying that it was disrespectful because KP termed the unicorn coin, and people are saying Bol is even better than it and might even transcend that as well. Also, I'm so sick, and this is just if you're giving us corrections about stat like heights or weights, like again,
3 different websites,
with
3
shoes,
different numbers.
without
exactly.
shoes,
like I
after each Thanksgiving meal, after each
I typed in Kristaps Porzingis. I typed in Bol, and it said on Google height 7'2" for Bol or 7'3" or whatever, and Kristaps 7'2". Like maybe he is 7'3". It's an inch. I don't know.
Maybe
I don't
he's
know.
7'2".
He's a big boy.
4'5".
He is 7+ feet tall.
Yeah, that's the point.
We're throwing out heights, and unless it's really bad, like we're saying Muggsy Bogues is 6'11", you can correct us. But if it's like an inch off, 2 inches off, there's some leeway.
Like, which site did you check?
Exactly. I mean, the only way we would know is if we took a tape measure ourselves and figured it out.
They don't allow us to do that. They don't. They kind of frown on that.
No, they don't.
Well, before you get into it, I just want one more thing, just kind of some promo. As they're he threw that at you.
It was in there.
As they're either watching or listening to this week will also be the first NBA Big Board as well.
Great. All right. Well, we got 2 minutes of intro, and let's finally get into this and ask the question, is Cam Reddish being overlooked? And obviously we'll see in your and Brandon's Big Boy on the, I think I said Big Boy.
Big Boy.
Big Board on the Primetime Podcast, where you think Cam Reddish is going to end up being compared to his fellow rookie classmates in this upcoming draft class. But obviously being on this team of Duke, of being on the human highlight reel, Zion Williamson's team, being on R.J. Barrett, who was the #1 player coming out of high school, is he being overlooked? And this is really coming from a conversation I had with Jake, who thought he was. He's thought Cam Reddish is being underrated and undervalued because he is the third option on that team. He is the third guy when people think of that Duke team because R.J. again is scoring 23 points per game and is taking 20 shots a game, and Zion is throwing down these ridiculously great dunks, but Cam Reddish has been extremely efficient on the shots he has been getting, 42% from the field, 43% from 3, 94% from the line, scoring 15 points per game. Is he being overlooked in your guys' opinion because of Zion's highlight ability and his kind of viral ability, and then R.J. Barrett's ability to play hero ball, take over, and dominate a game?
I would say yeah. And I mean, maybe Zion is what's really bringing this because Zion gets all the hype in the world. And then it's kind of even like, yeah, RJ's good. Like usually, like if Zion wasn't on this team, it would be, we would kind of look at it maybe more Batman and Robin between RJ and Cam Reddish. But like I look at it and the points, I think Cam Reddish this year, take his points per game. Right now he's at 15. kind of throw it away a little bit because they've got 3 mouths to feed. As long as they're winning, they're not going to care who scores. It's just each one of these players brings a different thing to the table. And for Cam Reddish, from what I've seen so far, the 2 things I like, number one, although he doesn't get to the line as often as an RJ Barrett, he hits most of his foul shots. He's shooting about 94% from the free throw line, and he's got a better three-point percentage. Like, he can shoot from range.
Well, he does. And that was one thing that was coming out of high school. He did have a better stroke than RJ. He was a more consistent shooter than RJ Barrett. That was the clear thing that did separate, between at least positives for Cam compared to RJ Barrett. I think he is a little bit taller as well. At least, size-wise and then shooting-wise, that was the plus for Cam.
It's just going to come down to RJ. What a team like. And I know in the NBA, it's take BPA, not team need, but really it's going to come down to, in my mind right now, Zion's number 1, and then depending on what that team needs. Like if the Suns are number 2, I would maybe take Cam Reddish over RJ Barrett because you don't need a guy that could basically do what Devin Booker does.
But here's the thing with the question of being overlooked. It's not like, obviously, who would you take, but overlooked in a sense of, do you think he's
not going to get the national spotlight?
But
no.
do you think he should be? Do you think he's a player that obviously Zion Williamson has this crazy ability to have be a one-man fast break, grab crazy boards, show off his incredible athletic ability. But with Cam Reddish, we're talking about NBA potential. We're talking about NBA prospects, and obviously Zion has something we've never seen before in his athletic ability. But that doesn't mean he's going to be the best NBA player out of this rookie draft class. So Dave, looking at Cam Reddish, do you think he's being overlooked in the sense that he might be the best NBA prospect on this team, yet he isn't getting the shots that RJ is, he isn't getting the highlights and love that Zion is? Do you think he has the ability to be the clear-cut number 1 player coming out of the NBA draft?
I don't think he'll ever be the clear-cut because of what Zion is, just as a person. But talent-wise, I'd love to see a system that let Cam play more of a role than what he is now. Because what he is now is like a huge wing who has a beautiful stroke from the outside. He's not shy to take threes all day. I'd like to see the ball in his hands more, see if he can facilitate, see if he can play make more. Because what we've seen out of RJ up to this point is RJ can be a good playmaker, but he's also turnover heavy. Like, we overhyped his ability as far as playmaking and ball control. So I'd like to see what Cam can do because Cam has the ultimate complementary skill set. Like Ricky was saying, you can put him on any team and he will fit in. He is a guy who can play physical defense. He can shoot the 3 from outside. He can stretch floors. Everything teams want. The thing is, we don't know if he can be a 1. And that's the thing is, I don't know, like Ricky said, because of the Duke team, because it's all team basketball and he's not their spotlight player, I don't know if we're going to get to see what he can do. I want to see if he can be a possible, star on a team because I don't know if he can or can't yet.
Well, that was one question I was going to have. I do want to interject real quick because I'm on sportsreference.com, and I don't know really how PER works for college, but Cam Reddish has a 25 PER. RJ Barrett has a 20.8 PER. Zion has a chill 42.9 PER. Just a chill 42.9 PER. Yeah. Just wanted to throw that out there. But looking at Cam, you bring up that ability to be a 1. We don't know if he has that ability. And one thing, too, you brought up him being a playmaker and not turning the ball over too much and RJ doing that. You also look at the assist to turnover ratio, though, and right now it's like a 1.7 to 1.8 for Cam. So it's literally he's turning the ball over more than he is, creating assists. Yeah. And RJ at least has a 4 to 2.5. So obviously,
but it's in their offensive sets. Cam's getting it as the you're either you're a swingman on the outside with your passes, and meanwhile RJ's the guy bringing the ball up, kind of dominating the ball.
I'm just helping and just adding that to the narrative. Not saying you're incorrect, but I'm just saying that some people might bring up the fact
today,
that at least with the stats. But one thing though is his ability to be a 1, and if he is more talented, one thing that, Coach K's been in this game for 50, 60 plus years now, at least coaching, full time as a head coach. Wouldn't he be able to see this, this talent and wouldn't he try to work Cam more into this? Because we even saw in that Gonzaga game, in the first half, he was not good. And then in the second half, when they started making a run, he was not on the floor. And I'll get to some quotes from Mike Schmitz and Giovanni on ESPN, the Draft Express guys, on what they said about the Maui Invitational. But how much does it say about their personalities and how much they are able to be a number one and put that on their shoulders when RJ is getting that workload right away and Cam's kind of falling back? And he might be being overlooked because he is falling back a little bit. Does it speak much on possibly being a franchise changer? Because yes, RJ might be playing hero ball, but at least he has that instinct to be like, all right, I'm the best player. I can help my team out. Yes, it could be a killer to some players, but some people laud Kobe for that ability to take over a game and be like, oh no, this is my team, this is my ball, I'm going to score, I'm going to show us to win. Where you've been a person who's been critical of LeBron James, where LeBron's passing it off in big moments. Kyrie's hitting the game-winning shot that seals the ring for Cleveland. He's passing it off down to George Hill or whoever it was. Was it George Hill in Game 1 this year? He threw the bullet pass down and got fouled, and that's what led to the JR rebound. Yeah. So
because George Hill was
you're bashing the pass to George Hill. So what do you think about that idea of RJ kind of having that personality of being a number one, and do you think Cam has that in him?
You're not. Well, first off, we're truly not going to know. In my sense, we're not going to know if Cam truly has it in him because of we know RJ has it. And Zion is who Zion is. The thing with how you mentioned Coach K, and this is the thing that's also kind of the give and take, is we're talking NBA potential.
Yep.
Coach K doesn't give a crap about that. It's all like they're going to take this Gonzaga loss. They're going to make their changes. All that his mindset's going to be on is winning games and winning games for them. And that's the thing, too, is how early are we in this college season to where this team is going to mold, these three are going to mold together, and we're going to see them grow the rest of the year. Right now, it looks like Cam Reddish is getting overshadowed, but that's just because of the hype levels that we've had for Zion and then what we've seen from RJ thus far.
My thing, though, is more, it's not even with the NBA potential with Coach K is, if Cam Reddish is a better player, wouldn't he try to give the ball more to Cam Reddish?
Maybe they do that over a couple games.
Well,
maybe
but my thing is we haven't seen that so far over the 6 games. And and again, you're all about trying to win games in college basketball. And so far, it's been very heavy on RJ Barrett using the ball and having a high usage. That's all I'm saying.
And let's be completely honest. Like when it comes to college basketball, for a team like Duke, because they're not going to lose many non-conference games usually, the non-conference portion is just, hey, we're just going to go and play some basketball games and get used to it. And then once the conference season starts, that's basically when the real year starts and when the wins really matter because you're trying to jock for position to win that to get your tournament bid and then trying to get the postseason tournament so you can maybe get a tournament bid as well if you're a team that didn't finish in the first seed. So, the non-conference, I wouldn't take too much away from it, but what I have seen from Cam Reddish is somebody who, if I'm an NBA team, I'm looking at it going, hey, if we got a guy that can be the alpha, this could be a guy that could be a nice complementary piece to that alpha on our NBA team.
Dave, before you go off and build on what Ricky just said, it's time for more ridiculous Zion Williamson stats. Per 40 minutes, he's averaging 30 points, 14.1 rebounds, 3.2 assists, 2.2 steals, and 4-point blocks. So he's averaging 30, 14, 3, 2, and 4.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah, it's insane. What do you think, though, about that at least innate ability to take over a game and being a number one? Because you brought that up of Cam can be a that's a horrible phrase. Cam be a number one? Have you seen that ability, or do you think it's just more speaking of RJ Barrett's personality than it is Cam's personality?
I think it's definitely speaking to RJ. And again, this probably goes for all these guys, is they've all been the best guy on their high school teams. They've all been the best guy on their, respective travel league and any of those kind of things. But we watch RJ in the international under 18 tourney, and he was dominant there. And now it was oh, this kid got pegged early on in life as no, he's the guy, you want the ball in his hands, and that's been his role. I think Cam Reddish, obviously he's got the potential to do that at some point, maybe. But the problem is we haven't seen it because he's just been delegated to that secondary role. He is, that's all it is I just keep seeing him as complimentary piece. I don't know if he'll ever be a number one, but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that because people want to compare him to anything between T-Mac, Paul George, anywhere in between. They're just tossing out names of oh, well, this guy was like a 6'8" wing who's got a great shot from the outside. Like, that's all we know about him so far. Like, defensively, he has the body to be a good defender. He's not actually quite a great defender yet, but, like, he has all the tools to be there. So I don't know that he'll ever be a ball-dominant kind of guy, but I don't think that's a bad thing going into the NBA draft because you look at some of these teams like
look at Klay Thompson. Like, I'm not saying like what he is as a player. I'm saying what he is to his team.
His role, yeah.
He doesn't need to be the number one. And that's what I think Cam Reddish could be is, can he be the number one? Potentially. Like, there were flashes in the San Diego State game where he would drive up, take a step back, shoot a shot, look good. And you could be like, okay, he can be ball dominant. Not in the same way as RJ, but he could. But if he comes in the league and he's a similar kind of a player as a Klay Thompson where, know my role, I'm the number 2 on this team, that's not a bad thing. And NBA teams are not going to use that as a negative against Cam Reddish.
Is that a top pick sort of thing, though? Is that what you want out of your like 1 through 3 pick in the draft? And you want that number 2 piece for your team?
Depends on what kind of a team I am. If I'm a team like Cleveland, is Colin Sexton,
Cleveland, Phoenix, and
Atlanta. And I mean,
yeah.
If you look at it, if I'm Atlanta or Phoenix, I'm not using that as a negative because Atlanta's thinking that Trae Young's their guy, and Phoenix is thinking Devin Booker is their guy. Yeah. Cleveland's the one where it might be a negative because Colin Sexton is so raw to where, and it feels weird to say that because he's just as raw as Trae Young because they're both rookies. But
he's just worse.
You don't know if he's going to be the number 1 for Cleveland.
That's what Ricky's saying.
Where Cleveland would have to go with either, if it was RJ or Cam, they would have to go with an RJ over a Cam Reddish in my mind.
I have another crazy Zion stat. If you look at players with over 138 offensive rating and an under 90 defensive rating, and you sort it by per, Zion, clear number 1 winner. The only other guys have 3. The only other player that is actually notable that hasn't played less than 20 minutes is Anthony Davis. But I agree in some ways, but I don't think it's only been 6 games, so we can't say Cam can't be a number 1.
No,
I think we haven't seen it up to this point.
Yeah, but it's even to that point where we might never see it in college, and I think that doesn't mean he can't be a number 1 player. And again, we really didn't see Jason Tatum be a dominant number 1 guy.
Like say Grayson and Luke Kennard.
In college, and he ended up showing the potential in the NBA to be a number 1 guy, or at least a potential number 1 guy. And Donovan Mitchell, he didn't jump out to be a number 1 guy in college. He did end up playing that role at number 1. But immediately he showed it in college and in the NBA, and we weren't really expecting it.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that we could see is these guys do take different roles, and they're trying to fit the system. And they're trying to win, and we've also never seen this much talent on a college team. If you're saying the Fab Five, you're just dead wrong. There was one great player on that team. It was Chris Webber. I couldn't name you the other 5th guy. Juwan Howard was a good starter. Jalen Rose was a good starter.
College-wise, they were some of the best
the whole point
talent
was
we've
it was
seen.
the top talent going into the class.
Yeah.
But
it was pretty impressive.
But also
but this is literally 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I think by the end of this, we're going to have 3 top 5 picks. I don't think Jalen Rose is a top 5 pick.
We could see Howard 3 top 3 picks is what we could see.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And we've looked this up. I think it was Anthony Davis and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist were the only back-to-back 1-2. There was never, I think, from the same college, 1, 2, 3. And we could see that for the first time.
For the 1-2 there.
Well,
Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
But it was also a weak draft class outside of Anthony Davis.
He's just a hitch away from being a fucking two-way player, man.
Yeah. Well, and here's one thing. Jalen was 13th overall. I think C-Webb was 4th pick. Juwan Howard was actually weirdly high for what he ended up being. Because I think he was a top 5 pick. Yeah, he was 5th pick in 94. But other than that, I can't name the other 2 guys on the Fab 5. But I think we'll at least be able to name 4 of the guys on Duke with Zion, Cam Reddish,
Ray Jackson, and Jimmy King.
Yeah, I don't know those guys. I'm going to be honest. My dad could tell you.
But it was 5 out of the top 84 officially.
This was 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. Well, they had Chris Webber and Jalen Rose were 1 and 5. Juwan Howard was 3. So they had 1, 3, 5.
This is 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So that's again.
I know it's a little better.
I'm just saying, there's going to be people that come back. I mean, Jalen Rose may be one of them. I don't think Jalen Rose listens to this fucking podcast, but he might come back and be like, "We were the better team in college basketball."
He already is saying that.
I know
Jalen and Jacoby.
I'm bringing it up.
Jalen has said that Zion wouldn't even be in the Fab Five. Didn't he say that?
Yeah, he was just wrong, though.
Didn't he say that?
You know who Zion would probably kick out? Jalen.
No, maybe.
Okay, Ricky, if you're building the team and you're saying young Jalen Rose or young Zion Williamson, who are you taking?
Pretty good.
You got to look at it though.
Jalen played the Cam Reddish role,
and I would say maybe, and this is me, and I know hardcore Michigan fans are going to hate me. I may say Ray Jackson because the thing with Jimmy King, you got to remember with that he was one of the top recruits. He was one of the top recruits in that class from Texas, and they actually had to kind of be like, hey, come and play with us. But Jimmy King was a second-round pick, and Ray Jackson was undrafted.
Yeah, so I don't remember shit about him. But I'm just saying, if I had to pick between Jalen Rose and Zion Williamson, I'll take Zion.
We know now. I mean, look, Jalen Rose had a good career. He's a 20-point game scorer for a couple of years. Like, he's on an Indiana
Was he an All-Star?
He did make an All-Star, I believe.
Shout out Jalen Rose.
I believe he made one.
But yeah, he was a pacer. He was a bull.
Yeah. I love those years.
Yeah, I don't know. Like with Cam and Zion, and even RJ too. Like it's tough to really say that he might have those glimpses where he's a really good player. But I don't think he'll ever have the chance to be number one.
I think we'll find out though. I do think we'll get the chance to because like
what do you think will be the tipping point then?
It's tourney time. Like as soon as we hit conference tournaments. Like I'm not even talking like March Madness. I'm talking conference tournaments.
I'm gonna say conference play.
You think just conference play in general? So like in a couple weeks?
But I mean,
not just in a couple weeks. Just it's gonna start with conference play and go all the way through.
But I mean, right now you're playing in your biggest game, possibly the biggest game you'll play all year.
Yeah.
Because I think this was probably bigger than the Kentucky game because this was a more proven Gonzaga team with what they did last year as well. And Cam wasn't around. Cam wasn't a prevalent part of that team, and I think that speaks volumes. And maybe it will change with how that game will end up going. But I worry about Reddish's ability to really shine. Where RJ, he might be shining in bad ways, but at least he's shining. Any press is good press, and I like that ability to be like, I have the talent, and if I'm off, but I'm still better than anybody who's on. And it's helped when Zion's cleaning up the board, but also I don't feel like going to Zion too often. On every other possession. They should have gone to him more in the last 4 minutes.
That's the thing, is like when they lost that game, like do you look back at that game and go, man, I wish we would have got more RJ Barrett, or man, they really should have just ran that shit down through the post to Zion. That's sort of like you look at the losses. That's where you find out like what's a player really going to be like when your team's down 10. Like what's their attitude when they're if you ever get in the case where Duke is being blown out by somebody, God forbid, like. What's their reaction to that? Because I get it, they're young kids, but like that's how you find out what they're made of, really. Like if Cam is out there like fighting for the ball still and like posting up, trying to get threes in the corner, then absolutely, like that's the kind of guy you want.
Well, and here's one thing that came out too with the Draft Express guys that I was kind of teasing a little bit. They put out a thing that it was NBA draft scouting. What's changed in the number one pick race? They pretty much talked that so far Zion is looking like the number one pick. Just with his athletic ability and his upside. But then they go into an RJ Barrett and Cam section. Schmidt says, these two had polar opposite showings. In Maui, Barrett lost considerable momentum due to hero ball, while Reddish was unable to capitalize on the buzz he generated through 2 games by no showing in the Gonzaga bout, leaving teams wanting more. Leading up to the Gonzaga game, NBA scouts questioned Barrett's willingness to make others better, his shooting consistency, and his overall upside as number one pick. Barrett strengthened that argument when he took 5 shots in the final 57 seconds, all misses, more or less icing out his teammates and looking extremely clunky in the half court. Barrett is an accomplished talent who figures to look much better on the spaced NBA floor, but he hasn't done himself any favors over the past few games, generating more questions than answers in his regard to ability to coexist with other stars. Reddish was invisible in the first half of the Gonzaga Gonzaga contest, and on the bench during Duke's late second half run, seeming all too comfortable, having little impact. Still, he knocked down 8 of 19 threes over 3 games, showing glimpses of high ceiling. Scouts remained enamored with his talent level, with many high-ranking executives thinking the number one pick will ultimately come down to Williamson and Reddish, not Barrett. He is clearly the best shooter of the 3, and the hope for Reddish, optimist, is that his aggressiveness and confidence will come out in more in time. He and Barrett seem to be in a battle for number 2 right now. The big 3 all get the pub, but Trey Jones is quickly proving he deserves far more attention. He played an outstanding game against Gonzaga, moving the ball, competing defensively, pulling up in the lane and finishing with craft around the rim. Should Duke make a title push, it wouldn't be surprising to see Jones wake his way into first-round consideration. I don't know about that because we all thought he was a top 15 pick for a little bit for Trey Jones, just to throw it out there. But what are your thoughts, at least hearing that?
Well, and the thing that's interesting, I'm not going to go into the article, but there's even one from the Duke site on Fansided where they wrote about Trey Jones proving that he can become an aggressive scorer. So we're already seeing that from him. That kind of just triggered what you saying that. But like, I could see what you said, where it's Zion and Cam 1-2, and then RJ is that third pick, because to me, it does not matter. I know the big thing like that we started earlier is, can he prove that he can be the number one? I don't care about that. What I do know already is that on the few shots that he has, he can hit from the field, he can hit from three, he can shoot from the line, and he can rebound, and he can play some defense. With that alone, I'm looking at that going, if I'm the number 2 pick, I would take that over a volume scorer like RJ Barrett, because if many people are going to compare, because obviously you are, because Kobe was also a volume scorer, is a volume scorer going to work in this NBA, or are you going to go with a guy who, hey, this guy can shoot, and this guy looks to be able to fit into the NBA that we're in right now? That's what I think it may come down to.
I disagree with calling him a volume scorer in RJ Barrett, because yes, he's taking a lot of shots right now, but
shooter.
I think he's going to be a guy that I think pans out to be a number 1, and if he's a number 1, you want him taking a ton of shots. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think the thing that really jumps out to me is his ability to play with other stars, and that kind of questions his ability to transfer to the NBA. Because again, like his ability to drive in the lane, like he's got pro moves already. Like you watch that Kentucky game and him putting up 33, that was a pro's NBA 33. Like he was cutting the lane, he was driving and slashing like a pro, and he had incredible moves going to the bucket. So like I'm not too worried about any of them transferring to the NBA and having success. It's just the levels of success that they can have. It's like Zion, like is he ever going to be a number 1? I don't really know. RJ Barrett, is he going to be a number 1? I think so, but will he be successful in that role? And then how is he going to adapt after that? And then with Cam, we're talking about where is he going to be? Can he be a number 1? Will he be a good number 2? Or will he ever have the confidence to even take that next step forward? Obviously, we've been seeing confidence and mentality is a huge deal in the NBA right now. It really doesn't matter about that talent. So, yes, Reddish can transfer to the NBA more because of his three-point ability, but also RJ might have the more ability to score and help your team quickly. And yes, he might not have a great shot from the outside like Cam Reddish does, but he does have that ability to score and have that knack to score, and also that willingness.
You feel comfortable with the ball in his hands, kind of thing.
So I think there always an argument and upside to all of these guys. And it just, again, depends, and I think we'll show a little bit more through the season. But I think Cam Reddish is being overlooked right now, and I think that has to deal a little bit with him and a little bit with RJ, a little bit with Zion, and then a little bit with just the offense in general is running so far through the first 6 games.
The way I put it to Brandon off a podcast, we were talking about the Duke guys, is usually when we talk about like a 1, 2, 3 pick in the draft, we're looking at like Markelle Fultz, Lonzo Ball. We're looking at it, this player against this player, and we're going in-depth trying to debate 1 or 2. To me, any of these 3 guys could be the number 1 pick. Any of them could be a number 1 pick. We're splitting hairs. But like this year is just going to be splitting hairs between the 3, justifying which one you want to be number 1.
It's apples and oranges. That's the problem. Like last year, you had point to point. This year, it's 3 different wings, and we don't even know. To be fair, it's a wing, it's a potential
maybe
wing,
a wing
and it's
or 4.
Who the
That's why
hell
it's
knows?
apple and oranges. Like maybe it's like apple, and then not even like an orange. It's
apple,
like
oranges, bananas.
No,
I think
it's like apple, orange, and then like jackfruit.
Yeah.
Like it's something
like
grapefruit,
just weird
piece of
as
cake.
fuck. Yeah,
Piece of cake.
Piece of cake.
apple, IPA.
I mean, that's what it is, because Zion's his own thing. Like, you can't classify him in the same categories. Like you said, the stats he's putting up is ridiculous, but like as far as what he can do physically, and I go back to physically, like, well, Cam Reddish is the second best physical specimen. He's got great size. He's got pretty good muscle strength to him. Like, he's someone who could go out there and be one of the top wing defenders. If you ever learn the discipline of it, like, absolutely has the potential to be there. Hopefully he won't, like Andrew Wiggins this and, like, give up on defense, but Like, he has what it takes to be a professional player in the NBA at the top level. So,
why do you think he has the second most impressive? Like you mentioned about
over RJ is.
Well, yeah. Why do you think he has a more impressive just like build than RJ? What stands out more? Well, RJ's pretty fucking impressive too.
RJ's impressive, but like, my worry with RJ is that he falls into like the not quite as good as DeRozan camp.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's where and maybe it's just because DeRozan as of late has been playing really well.
Mm-hmm.
So like his last couple of years have been excellent, and obviously like my expectations for RJ shouldn't be at where he's at now, but where he's at, as a young player coming into the league. But like when you mock, it's hard to mock players in the NBA draft and not do straight comps. It's like, I want him to be that guy in the league. Like the guy today, you want Cam Reddish? Well, I want Paul George. Like that's what, if I'm picking out a Cam Reddish, I'm going, I hope you develop to be Paul George for me. Yeah. And RJ Barrett, I know I might get crucified for these comps, but whatever. It's like RJ Barrett's like, he's a ball handler. He's comfortable going to the lane. His three is not perfect, but like it could be worked on. Like DeMar DeRozan, why not?
Well, but even then,
you go Jimmy Butler. You could go anywhere you want, but like he doesn't have the same defense as Jimmy Butler. That's why I lean more towards the DeMar side.
RJ though, I mean, it could be even such a simple tweak like Jason Tatum made, where Jason wasn't that great of a 3-point shooter in college, and then the next year he's coming out and shooting 40% from three.
Yeah,
so
great shot coach.
That could be a quick fix for him. I'm not too worried about that.
No, I'm not worried. I'm just trying to. That's where my mind goes, and it's like, who would you rather have on a team today? And that's I'm just doing straight comp is DeMar DeRozan or Paul George, and like a dominant Paul George is very, very good for any team you put on. You can put him on 30 out of 30 teams.
Yeah, but I think RJ has more like, and this isn't a bash to DeRozan because DeRozan's so good offensively.
Yeah.
But I think he has more overall game than DeRozan does,
I feel like
at least potential-wise.
He's a better slasher, I feel like. DeRozan's got a great mid-range. Like that's DeRozan's fucking like pièce de résistance is that mid-range game is like straight out the 90s.
But even then, I think he has an even better chance to become a better defender than DeRozan. Like I don't think we're just going to see like an offensive stud, like a one-way monster like DeRozan, and then like defense he's fine, but he's never he's never like a top 3 defender on your team. Yeah. I think RJ, again, like it's tough to say what he will become defending wise, but he does have we always talk about like those tools. I think he does have those tools.
Here's the last thing I'm going to say with this, and this is right now where they sit after 6. If you look at all the stuff, if you want to throw out offensive win share, defensive win share in general, offensive rating, defensive rating, offensive BPM, defensive BPM, BPM in just general, all of these stats I just listed, Zion leads out of the 3. Cam Reddish is second out of the 3. RJ Barrett is in dead last out of the 3. And I know we're only 6 games in, but I mean, the thing with RJ Barrett compared to maybe a Cam Reddish is I think he's getting overlooked right now. But with RJ Barrett, it's going to, the question of is more always better going to be answered. And I say that because his usage is 35.6 compared to about 27.7 and 27.9 for the other two. Sometimes more usage might not be better, and that's what might be proving this entire year when we talk about these guys in a draft setting.
Yeah, I mean and that even shows with his field goal attempts for being at 20.8. But even then, he's still shooting 40% from the field, and I think that'll go up a little bit too. I just think that again with RJ, you're talking about more is less, and I think there is an argument to be made there, but I also think that we do need to see more from Cam Reddish because he hasn't shown that ability where he has talent, he has skills without a doubt, but also does he have that next level ability to be a number 1 for a team? And if we're talking about number 1 pick, which Zion and RJ were talking about before season, he hasn't shown me that yet. And although RJ has struggled, it has only been 6 games. And although he has struggled, he has had some fucking phenomenal performances. He went up in his first game in college and did that to that Kentucky team. And no one was complaining about that. Everybody loved it. Some people were saying it was a better performance than Zion. And yes, he's going to have rough games. He's going to have ups and downs. And obviously right now he's in a bad stretch. Over the past 4 games, he's shot like 30%, I think, from the field, or a little under 38% from the field. He hasn't been great, but also he can turn that around. We might see a week where he's putting up like 35. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think there's going to be highs and lows with RJ Barrett. but his highs are going to have been much higher than Cam Reddish's, and I don't know if Cam is ever going to hit those highs that RJ has hit so far. That's my biggest thing, where Cam might be more consistent, but also RJ might have those higher peaks than Cam will ever have. Sure. Dave, you got any final thoughts?
No, I think that pretty much wraps up. We were so early into this college season.
We got to just see it play out.
I want to watch them play so much more. I need more than one game a week. This is killing me, college basketball. The tournament was great.
The conference play, then we'll get into the consistent 2-3 times a week.
That's what I need. Jonesing for it. I got the NBA schedule where we're just laying down game after game after game right now.
I'm just saying that with Duke coming to Notre Dame, I know it's a lot of money, guys. But it could be well worth it.
It could be well worth it.
I'm just saying it could be really fun to go.
We could watch the number 1, 2, and 3 picks in the NBA draft play.
Well, we could have if we went to Indianapolis.
Final thing we will do, just rank them right now. What you think? 1, 2, 3. I'm
gonna save mine. Go and check out the big board for mine.
That's fine, Dave.
I'm gonna go Zion. I'm gonna go RJ, and then I'm gonna go Cam.
So Zion, RJ, Cam.
Everything I've said has been Cam better fit 30 out of 30 teams, but there's something special
ranking
about
is different than mocking.
Something special about
No, it's like big board, not who you go team-wise.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah, Zion, RJ, Cam.
So also, I just did a final Zion crazy stat. This is from 2010 to 2011 to 2018, 2019, 20 minutes per game and a box plus minus of 21. There is one person who's actually played more than a decent amount of minutes, 27 minutes, and he's the only person that has played over 20 minutes per game and has a box plus minus of 21. The kid's insane. It's just fucking stupid watching him and how good he is. I struggle with this because it's so hard to deny Zion's highlights. You look at the eye test, it's there. You look at the stats, it's there. It's tough to deny his abilities.
And then you go back to the eye test again because you enjoyed it so much.
Exactly.
That's what he does.
And then you go back to the eye test when it's a little bit later at night.
That's what
But I still have that worry about him being a number 1 scorer because I think he can be a superstar. But I think he'll be able to, bend and twist his way of being a superstar, not in the superstar way of he's a number 1 player like a LeBron James, like a Kobe Bryant, like Carmelo Anthony in his prime. But I think he does have that ability to be a guy who's definitely in the limelight because of his talent, but I don't know if he's ever going to be that number 1 star. I mean, it's been shown so far through his 3-point percentage. If there's anything that does not stand out at all, it is his shot, because I know some people are like, oh my God, look, in that Kentucky game where he hit that 3. But since then, he has hit 1 3. He's literally 1 for 7 from 3 since then, and he's not taking a ton of threes. He took 1 3 against Army, missed it. 1 3 against Eastern Michigan, missed it. Took 3 threes against San Diego State, made 1. Took 1 against Auburn, missed it. Took 1 against Gonzaga, missed it. He's not going to be ever a 3-point shooter in my mind. I don't think he has that. He doesn't have that flow. He doesn't have that just natural ability to come up and shoot a 3. And that's something tough to learn because you need to gain that confidence. RJ clearly has that. Even though his shot's not great, he does have that confidence to come up and hit those 3s. He hits those shots. Same with Cam Reddish. He can have a walk up 3 and in rhythm shoot it. He has that ability to spot up. Zion, it's a process to do so, and I don't think it's ever going to be knocked out of him. Maybe he can be more of a consistent spot up shooter, but I do worry about his ability to become an all-around scorer, but his athletic ability is undeniable. So right now, after that long-winded rant, RJ, Zion, Cam can definitely change, though, because Zion, again, is fucking insane. So if by our next mock draft he's the number 1 pick on the board, I wouldn't be too shocked. And again, player ratings is different than a mock because I think when it comes to the mock, I probably will have Zion number 1. But let us know what you think about Cam Reddish down in the comments. Do you think he is being overlooked? Do you think he is going to end up being, the number 1 player that some high executives are even suggesting that he can be? And what do you think about RJ Barrett? What do you think about Zion Williamson and how those 3 have been playing together so far? They have been impressive. They're going to be a force in college basketball, especially when the conference tournaments and the conference play and the NCAA tournament pick up. But that's going to do it for the Fast Break Podcast. Check us out on patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast if you enjoyed this episode. Also check us out on Twitter @mostvaluablepod. And finally, check us out on iTunes and give us a 5-star rating if you have the time to do so. That's going to wrap it up for Dave Oster, for Ricky Widmer. I'm Sean Anderson. We'll see you next time.